Let's go, lifers. We could do this, baby. Bitcoin struggling. I do have a short open. We'll see what happens here, though. There is liquidity above us. I don't know. It's just a hedge. We're going to find out. Stay with me, baby. Let's go. Already made about $1,000 this morning. I'll take it, man. I'm not greedy. I'm a humble man. I remember moving that yesterday. I don't know what the heck's going on. Shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here, sharing your most precious asset with me, and that is your time. Welcome to the Crypto Live Show. 75,800. Can Bitcoin hold this key level? That's what we're going to figure out. I'm going to take a shot of ginger right now, too. Get myself ready to go every morning. Spilled all over me. What kind of shenanigans is this over here? All over the kid. All over the guy over here. Hey, let's get back into brass tacks here and talk about Bitcoin. You guys don't care about what... Anyway, we'll figure this out later. Let's get into the price action. This one's right. Here we go. I feel good. I look good. I'm doing good. Life is good. God is good. My kids are good. My family's good. Hope you're good, man. And women, shout out to all the beautiful people out here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. Let's bring that music down a bit. A little intense. Like clowns. You get it? Intense. I don't know. I'm just... I attempt to be funny. I'm probably not. But I attempt to be. My mom said I was. I don't know if it's true. All right. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Are we live? Are we actually live? Do we actually connect to the live stream? Because I don't even know. Shout out to all the awesome people here on the live. Let's jump on in. All heroes that were swearing up and down bear flag were going down yesterday. All you heroes that were swearing up and down bear... What? What is he talking about? Anyway, I woke up to a long this morning making some gains. All right, making some gains. And the pin, it's already pinned, huh? I guess I did that already. I didn't even know I did it. Shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. Shout out to Marcus. God bless you, Marcus. Love you, brother. Thank you for being here, man. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You are live, looking good with the suit, man, baby. I'm feeling good with the suit. Let's take a look. Bitcoin. I got a little bit of a hedge short just in case this thing takes a pundle, which is a pundle is a, I don't even know what a pundle is, but it could take a pundle. Okay, that's all you got to know. So, I mean, that's a tweezer top, but we're on the 21. We're still in this tight range. I have so much to show you today, and I don't want to see this head and shoulder dump. I'd like to see it hit me and stop me out, negate the fact, make it tight. And I also see a possible move to the upside too. So this is just a hedge. I made $900 this morning. I used 300 for 1,000. If this dumps, I'll make another $1,000. If not, I'll cut it off, maybe even before or at 300, and then I'll reassess the situation and go from there. So this just kind of protected me for the day to see if, in case we don't get back above 76K and hold that. It is a shoulder, head and shoulder right off the bat. So I'm just kind of showing you what I'm doing here live on MEXC, and you can trade this on Weeks or BTCC. BTC is probably the one right now because they're gonna hooks you up with a Rollie, man. Win a Rolex in 11 days, 13 hours, 43 minutes, and 7 seconds. And look at that, man. Me in the brand. I'm wearing the same jacket, I think, but that's the brand, man. The best brand in the game, Crypto Lifer, with the best brand in watches. I mean, what a beautiful marriage here together. So jump on in. 3 beautiful people are going to win a Rolex. All you got to do is make one trade on BTCC. You don't have to have a bunch of trades. You don't have to have the most trades. You just have to use the code LIFER333. Jump on in. Bang, bang, bang. Like I did last night, I ended up trading this. Oops, sorry, I don't mean to show my wallets there, but you can see I do trust them. I keep a good amount of money on the exchange. So it is what it is, right? Shout out to all the beautiful people here on the live. Thank you for being here. So anyway, let's break down my sauce. Let's delete these lines here because they're a bit encumbersome at the moment. And let's take a look at what we're seeing. Nice little bounce for Bitcoin off the bottom of the trend line. That's what we needed to see here on the 1 hour time frame. Last night I took this flag to the upside. I knew there wasn't going to be a lot, but I got in here. And this morning when I woke up, we were right there. I sold before that massive dump at 8:30. We got a dump, which is weird for no reason. It's like they dump 8:30 data for no reason. It didn't make any sense. Core retail sales were up 1.19 to, but that's 1.4, and previous was 0.7. That's a massive move. Retail sales month over month up again 1.7. So core retail sales. President Trump had a pretty good interview on CNBC. He was talking, it seemed like he wanted to make a deal. He was talking about Iran's bad deals. He was talking about all sorts of deals, and he seemed a little more relaxed, right? That's what we were told yesterday. He says Rolex is in 100%. Doesn't mean just because someone is a material thing doesn't mean you can't wear it though, right? What are you going to live in dirt? God doesn't want you wearing dirt. I'll be honest. Just because you want to live in nothing, God does not want you wearing dirt. God would like you in the most beautiful suits, the highest linens, right? This is a custom suit with my initials on it. I mean, why not, right? From Wazine Taylor's SJP right there, baby. Wait, SJP. I mean, nothing fits better than custom. I'm just saying, right? It went down because of the Trump saying, did you get my email? Check it out with the info I gave you. Let me know. I'm on to something with your model. A little bit. I got it. Yeah, thank you. I've used that for years on and off, that Fu Manchu swing. I've seen it. Yeah. You may be onto something. It's interesting. Yeah. I appreciate you thinking of me, man. It's very nice of you, to be honest. Thank you. That's awesome. All right. Let's start here with the day. So you already know what I'm doing. But honestly, this looks interesting. Like I personally want to long this to the upside. The 21's above the 200. We have this nice little tight price action, but this could go either way, folks. It really could. But you might see me open up a short and a long at the same time for the first time in a long time because I just want to hedge it. 82,346. I'm overall bullish. I'll tell you that once we finish kind of what we're looking at. I'm overall bullish. 74,066. I mean, what if they could jerk, yank it down, stop me out, yank it back up. You could get stopped out on both. I mean, that's why I don't usually long and short at the same time, because it's like, pick a direction, believe in the direction, and go for it, right? That's kind of how I go. I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. It's hard for me to do 2 things at once, right? And the universe will reward heavy precision. Like when you focus on one thing and have yourself centered on it, the universe will reward you for that usually. God, everything, I say the universe, I believe in God, but we live in the universe. And the universe does have, or where this place we live in does have rules. And, right, if you work really hard, you're going to get the most money. People don't think that. They think it's a shady, evil world and hard work doesn't get rewarded. That's just not true. If you believe that, then it's not. Then hard work isn't rewarded. If you believe hard work is rewarded, then it is. See, your belief system will create your whole entire reality. You're in charge right now of everything, whether you realize it or not. It's your fault. If you're rich, it's your fault if you're poor. You know, everyone says if they're rich, it's their fault for sure. Look at all the things I did. If they're poor, it's never their fault. It's someone else's fault. But your financial area in life, where you are, has everything to do with you. Like, it's on you. Look, this is almost an Adam and Eve. You see that? Out of nowhere on the 1 minute, we got a huge spike back to the upside. Hey, look at this. This is just some crazy price action. And they're going after people that are just emotionally challenged on the smaller time frames. You can clearly see it. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. 5 minute never lost the 200 moving hour. It did actually, and it double bottom there, though, off the bottom of my trend line. Showing strength on the trend. When I say that, what do I mean? Well, I drew this trend line yesterday, and you can see we've been bouncing off of it the whole time. Kind of holding it as support. Ain't too shabby, right? So do we go for a bigger long here on the 1 minute? I mean, on the 1 hour? I don't mind it. It looks pretty decent. And Bitcoin's actually ripping up right now. I go 700 for $2,100. And the worst worst thing that happens is that when this rips up 300, I lose the other trade at $300, right? It's not a big deal. Just if you can handle your risk and know what you're doing, you will not be stressed. If this does go down and I lose 700, I'll be up 700 the short. It'll be kind of like almost a break-even idea, right? So, but what I can do is if it turns into a bigger loss on the short, it'll end up paying me the other way too. So we'll see how it goes. So I am long and short at the same time, which may be very confusing to you, right? But there you have it. It's just a hedge. I mean, that didn't look good to me, but it also, you know, I could see it going both ways. So, and maybe we chop around and nothing happens. You know, that can happen too. Neither trade pays me and we just kind of hang out here. I would like tightness for the next 5 to 6 hours, and then tonight we go on a massive pump to the upside. Back to 80. Imagine we hit 82K tonight. It could happen. It's setting up pretty nicely. Okay. So taking profits and saving it. Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah. Exactly. Someone says, I think your flag is incorrect. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It means nothing to me. I've been doing this for, 15 years of hardcore TA. I've been touching and buying stocks for 20 years. I'm 43 years old. If I listened to a comment on my channel about a wrong pattern, I'd be in a bad place right now because it means I wouldn't have any conviction in what I do. So there you go. Bulls will win, but first we wash the late longs. It's possible. It's possible that I don't get stopped out. I clean up. I get a little bit of money on the short, and then we go back to the upside. That would be beautiful. I don't get stopped out of the long. I sell the short for money, and then we go back, we go back the other way. It would be gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous, right? So we will see. I'm very rarely do I do this. So this is a unique position for me to be in. Anyway, let's break it down. Let's talk about it. I see a few unique things that you may not have thought about, and I want to enter them into your brain so you can see them. Also, we got some crazy news for you. Some big updates and a lot happening. The brand is going to expand in a major way this year. I'm telling you right now, 2026, man, is the year we put our mark on this industry if we haven't already. Look, the monthly, every time it broke a green candle and it closed outside of the trend line, and I don't even have to draw the bottom one because there's no point in it because you broke the top trend line. But every single time we broke a top trend line, one candle above it, I mean, it went on a massive month tear. If Bitcoin did something similar this time, it would be the breakout positional and to kind of tell you, okay, you get the big candle move, some sideways, everyone thinks, oh, that's the right shoulder. That would be so amazing. That would create so many shorts because we would like, oh, they'd go to short this and then they'd get squeezed. Then they'd think it was a double top and they'd short it again. We'd come down and make them think they were right. They'd add to the shorts, they'd get squeezed. Then they'd see a bearish div and they said it has to be the end. There's a fake rally and they get squeezed again. 175 on October of 2028. It's going to take some time. A lot of people are thinking like 500K by 2027 and stuff. I've been doing TA a long time and it is realistic. Like there's realistic technical analysis. However, I mean, this one did a major boom, right? It came up here, but then it made the flag and then you figured the flag would go up the next length of the next pulse. I mean, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Two major legs with one consolidation. right? Anyway, every single time we broke above these levels, it's been a move, and that's a break of a trend line on the monthly time frame. So I don't know, man. I'm a very simple trader. I take things one step at a time, but to me, I don't know. That's just very simple stuff, right? We broke the trend line. If you're sitting and watching 1,000 YouTubers or reading Twitter every 5 seconds, and one guy says we're gonna go down one more leg, one guy says this is the bottom, it's like you'll get so confused. You gotta find your own TA and you live in it. You can't be living in 1,000 other ideas. It's not gonna pan out. So the more and again, that comes from knowing thyself. I don't think people realize how much trading has to do with knowing thyself. You have to know you have to know thyself. You have to know yourself. Conquering trading is not trading really. It's conquering you. You're the one that you have to figure out. Do you get scared quickly? Do you rush out of trades? Do you not have conviction? Do you don't leave your stop loss? Do you not let trades run when they're running? Do you sell them so early because you're so happy you finally got a gain? Right? Yeah, and the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, is speaking right now, which you think would affect the markets somewhat. All right? I'm actually interested to see what he has to say. I don't want to make this a boring day, though, where you sit and listen. But, I think it's important, too, we listen to see what this guy has to say. Let's just take a look here at what the questions are asking him and what's going on real fast, all right? I just want to hear him out.
I'm also thinking of my late mom and dad. They were paying great attention to this hearing 20 years ago. They're no longer with us, but I was always proud of them and the values they taught me, and I hope they'd be proud of me today.
I like that.
We start today with a note of broad agreement, even though we might have heard different narratives at the outset of this hearing. This is a time of great consequence for the nation's economy. As a former Fed governor and friend or colleague of the last 5 Fed chiefs, from whom I've learned plenty of lessons, I'm particularly alert to the challenges and opportunities
I hope he's not friends with Jerome
confronting
Powell.
the institution that I cherish, the Federal Reserve. To the President, to the Congress, the nation, I owe my best judgment and my most faithful efforts in serving the mission that you and Congress assigned to the Federal Reserve, including full employment and stable prices. The American people are counting on the Fed to deliver on its commitments, perhaps now more than ever. The real highlights of my life are not on my resume, as Senator McCormick said. They include the individuals with whom I worked and from whom I learned. I graduated from high school in upstate New York.
Oh.
I had some exceptional teachers there and some brilliant classmates. I've learned we're lucky in life if we start out with good influences in learning and in character.
Amen.
A public school education gave me both of these, and I'm grateful. I made my way to Stanford and found myself in the company of some of the most highly accomplished economists and policymakers. George Shultz, former Secretary of State and Treasury, was among the great patriots at the Hoover Institution, who I came to know as a teacher, mentor, and friend.
Isn't it?
He passed away right after COVID at age 100, but I still feel him with me.
Amen.
I could not have imagined a better formative experience than working from and learning from folks like him.
This is really,
I could tell you about all the things I learned, but maybe the most important was to be around people completely devoted to the ideas and ideals of our country.
Let me know.
Silicon Valley in the early
chat
90s, another fitting backdrop for all of the things we confront today. I found myself in the right place at the right time. The U.S. was at the vanguard of a new era of technological leadership, and I just looked out my door to see it. Now, in the last 15 years, I've gained deep experience in macro and in markets, working with Stan Druckenmiller. He never held a position in government.
Anyway, I want to finish my top-down analysis right here. But, if we get into some inquiries, I think, I do want to hear what he has to say about certain things. But right off the bat, that's a little bit of a flag there on the 1 minute time frame. See, I want to teach you guys something so beautiful, okay? And what I love about it is this channel always exemplifies the teaching, right? So look at this guy, Crypto Tony 1975. Momentum is about to shift soon. 78K most likely to the top. The trend's still down. Bear fake will play out soon. We will say, look at the controversy in this statement, okay? No, let's just break it down psychologically. Momentum's about to shift soon. Has no idea. He just says that out loud, right? Number one. 78K most likely the top. Most likely, so he doesn't know. When you say something's most likely, you don't know, right? You're not guaranteeing it, right? So he's basically saying, I'm not sure, but 70K could be the top. Then he says the bear flag will play out. So he basically contradicts himself because he tells you something's going to happen, but then he says it's most likely. So in the same statement, you basically see someone that is basically doesn't understand how to trade, right? I'm not trying to be rude, Crypto Tony. It's facts, right? And then he says we will start heading back to the 50 and then the 200. He basically says what's going to happen. Now maybe he's right, and if it happens, he's going to say I told you what's going to happen, right? But the fact is, he doesn't know. He just thinks it's most likely. He has no clue. You have to remember that. Neither do I. But he speaks with authority as if he knows what will happen. So, and that usually gets people wrecked. People that do that usually lose a lot of money. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be rude to you, Crypto Tony. I'm just using you as a beautiful example of what not to be doing. All right. You want to say every morning, I have no idea what the charts are going to do. I have no clue. I don't know what's going to happen to these charts. Right. You see what I'm saying? So that's just how it works. Like, that's just a fact of life. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this worked the other day. This is pretty funny. Can you please say Bitcoin? Right. And we'll hold on. We're going to have this going.
But
here.
he's no less a patriot. He never got a PhD in economics.
Please say
but I don't
Bitcoin.
know a finer economic thinker. Without their guidance and the guidance of Condi Rice, my friend, and I should say my boss at the Hoover Institution, I doubt I would be sitting before you today as the president's Fed chairman nominee.
An error occurred. Please try again.
But I'm certain of one thing.
What?
Absent their tutelage, absent their example, I would not be as prepared for the urgent, mission-critical task at hand. In between these bookend experiences, I served quite a while ago as a governor at the Federal Reserve. At the difference to the American people, and if confirmed, I will seek to create an environment in which the best people do their best work.
You will be confirmed.
Candor and goodwill will go a long way in pursuing those objectives.
Please say Bitcoin.
And I suspect this hearing, Mr.
All you got to
Chairman,
do is say the word
test.
Bitcoin, and we'll be ready
It's
to
a real
rock.
privilege to be.
Thank you, sir. I will say that we typically stick to a 5-minute opening comments. I would encourage all of us to stick with our 5 minutes as
Oh,
relates
come
to our
on, man.
question
What a
and answer.
loser, bro.
We have full attendance today.
Like,
and
he's
it's gonna be
like-
really important for us to stick as close.
I shouldn't say that. He's not the worst, but
as possible. If we go over by much, you'll hear me, which is an indication that you're already over. And I'll do my very best to keep us on time.
thank you.
Kevin, there are so many questions to talk to you about, to ask you about, to be honest with you. And
of course, we're in this
I just wanna name
tight,
a couple of them.
symmetrical triangle.
Look
Go
forward
either
to
way.
Hearing more on these topics. I will not have enough time to delve into some of the most important issues facing our country. I'll take 2 of those issues and focus my time. I'm sure my colleagues on either side will have a conversation with you and ask questions about AI. The AI future is going to have massive impact on where we go as a nation. It's going to have a massive impact on your dual mandate as it relates to
I don't
full
know, man.
employment. Our production may go up while our employment stays flat. So this is a really important question that at some point we should delve into. I also think that someone should spend some time talking about our balance sheet. We have nearly a $7 trillion balance sheet at the Federal Reserve. Too much attention has been paid to your balance sheet and not enough attention has been paid to the nation's balance sheet. And I think it's really important for us to dig into that issue as well. Digital assets, the future of finance in the world seems to have
say Bitcoin.
a major component of
Say
it being
Bitcoin.
being a digital asset.
Say the word
Market-structured
Bitcoin.
legislation We don't want your comment on, but the important role of the blockchain in the future is another
blockchain.
really important part of the future
Bing.
of our
These are
economy.
keyword searches.
I will spend some time talking about affordability and the importance of the independence of the Fed. One of the things I've appreciated about your previous comments is the importance that you have placed on the dual mandate, stable prices, which typically comes through the form of interest rate changes, as well as promoting maximum employment. I think those two will become more challenging in the current environment. One, obviously, the second one being the AI and the future of full employment. You've criticized the Federal Reserve for getting too big, mismanaging inflation.
21,
I'm sure
you should
know
get a
the
pump
definition
there.
of transitory, so I won't ask you, but I got a feeling you know, and some of your predecessors did not.
Nice little bounce off the
Compromising
21
the
there.
independence of the Fed. I think we should spend more time on finance, less time on climate change, on politics.
Please.
On who is or who's not in charge.
Please.
I think you would agree on those issues, though I will not ask you. I will ask you, however, that under your leadership, how will you steer the Federal Reserve to address the real life issues of affordability is my first question. And my second question will be about how do you make sure that the Federal Reserve stays out of the lane of external influences?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's probably no more pressing question than the cost of living. We know at the Federal Reserve that price stability was an objective that you and your colleagues gave to the Fed. So when, over the course of the last several years,
see if he criticizes. Right now, we want to see if he
when
criticizes
prices went up
Jerome
to
Powell.
the tune of 25 to 35% for virtually all deciles of the American people. That's an indication that the Fed missed its mark. And we are still dealing with the legacy of the policy errors.
So bullish right here.
2021 and 2022.
Yes.
Once you let inflation take hold,
Hate on Jerome Powell indirectly.
it's more
This is what we're looking
expensive
for.
and harder to bring it down.
Yeah.
And so the fatal policy error going back 4 or 5 years is still a legacy that we're dealing with.
The Fed didn't do
In
it.
my judgment, fundamental policy reforms to fix it. And while it's
Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened there. Let's just hit
I
the
think that
live
means
button.
a different new inflation framework. I look forward to working with my colleagues at the Fed, if confirmed, to achieve that. I think it means, as you suggested, using tools differently. The Fed has an interest rate tool and a balance sheet tool. My view is the interest rate tool gets in the cracks. It's fairer. The balance sheet tool disproportionately helps those with financial assets.
100%.
The interest rate tool hits the entire economy.
Exactly.
So we need a new framework.
Stop
new
pumping
tools,
money
and I'd
into the
also
market
say,
behind
Mr.
our
Chairman,
backs,
New communication.
helping rich get richer.
Part of the reason why, after making a mistake in 2021 and 22, the mistake was compounded, is the Fed gives its forward guidance. The Fed tells the whole world what their dots are going to be, what their forecasts are going to be. Well, the Fed's human. Then they hold on to those forecasts longer than they should. I think if the Fed were to wait until it gets into a meeting before making a decision,
Looks like we're gonna break out
incremental
there.
Deliberation can keep the central bank from compounding its errors. I think these are big changes that are needed, and if confirmed, I look forward to doing it.
Thank you very much.
I like this.
Ranking
That
Member
was
Warren.
exactly what I wanted to
Thank you,
hear.
Mr. Chairman.
This is going so
the
well.
Fed has been
This dude's the man
plagued
right now.
by deeply disturbing
So far. I
ethics
never,
scandals in recent
can't
years
trust it all.
involving at least 6 Fed officials. So
Hey,
it's critical
Pocahontas.
that the next chair has no financial
Pocahontas.
none. You have more than $100 million in
Shadiest woman on earth right here.
that you have refused to disclose to ethics officials
This
in
lady's
public.
the
So let me
worst.
ask, do the Juggernaut Fund
Look at her.
or
She's
the
already starting with her nonsense, man. She's the worst, bro.
LLC invest in any companies affiliated with President Trump or his family? Companies that have facilitated
1 minute
money
on the model.
laundering,
We should get a pump here based on
Chinese-controlled
TA.
companies or financing vehicles established by Jeffrey Epstein.
Senator
What a
Warren,
loser,
thank you.
bro. Hold on. I want to meme her.
Let me first share a point of agreement with you. The Fed has 2 tools. One is its monetary policy, and the second is its credibility. And the
this.
scandals that you talked about, the ethics
Mr.
problems
Walsh,
you
I
talked
appreciate
about,
that, but I
went
have
to
very
the core of the
limited-
Let him talk.
credibility that is
Let him
owed.
talk,
Answer
man.
my question, please. I asked.
You're
You
so
have $100
ridiculous.
million
I get fired up on this stuff,
assets.
man. I should get
And
into
what
politics.
I'm asking is, are any of those with this outfit that invests in
Oh, please.
companies affiliated with
Say
President Trump and his
Bitcoin.
family?
All she has to do is say
companies that
Bitcoin and then get her off the
facilitated
thing,
Money
man.
laundering, Chinese-controlled companies. or
What about your buddy
financing
Eric
vehicles set up by
Swalwell and
Jeffrey Epstein?
his
See,
Chinese
that's no
spy, Mrs. Warren?
Senator, I have worked tirelessly with the ethics officials at the Office of Government
Yes,
Ethics.
and you have not
come to an
revealed
ethics agreement
$100
with
million
them and have
in
agreed,
Oh, it's
Senator,
spicy right
to
now.
sell all of my
That's
getting hot.
financial
not my
assets,
question.
Oh.
Mr.
including
Walsh,
the
are you
Duquesne
refusing
assets.
to tell us
She
if
is
you
such a...
have investments, for example, in vehicle setup.
You know that
to advance Jeffrey
she defended
Epstein. Is
like
that what you're
all
telling us? You
RJ
just
Reynolds
wanna
and
tell us?
cigarette companies.
Senator, what I'm telling you is that those assets that you represent at Juggernaut will be sold if I'm
right.
confirmed
Let me
before I take
follow up.
office and sign the oath of office.
Let me follow up on that. Will you at least disclose how you plan to disclose and divest these secret assets? I'm sure you understand that the public might question your motives if, for example, billionaire Stanley Druckenmiller, who you honored in your opening statement, and who
Nice
makes
pump
a
here
living
to the upside.
guessing what the Fed will do next.
He's fighting, man. He's
cut
showing that
you a
he's for the
massive
rate
check
cuts. You could just
for
tell right
$100
now.
million
He's on our side, man.
as you take the oath of office to become the new Federal Reserve Chair.
Senator, as you know, it sounds like your fight might not be with me, but the Office of Government Ethics. I have come to full agreement with them and have agreed to divest all of those assets.
I'm asking you
especially
a very
those that you
straightforward
referenced
question,
before I
Mr.
take
Warsh,
the oath of office.
and that is, will you disclose how you divest those assets, or will you just collect a check for $100 million from someone whose whole business is betting on what the Fed will do?
As I said to the ethics officials at the Federal Reserve and the Office of Government Ethics.
See, there's the pump above the 200. There's the Sammy sauce right there.
So Donald Trump has made clear that he does not want an independent Fed. In fact, he has said, and I quote, "Anybody that disagrees with me will never be Fed chairman." And he's made clear that you are his sock puppet, saying last week that interest rates will drop, quote, when Kevin gets in. Yeah.
They will.
I
They
think
have to be,
will.
man. What are you
Not
talking about?
when economic conditions change.
I went to get a
they'll
mortgage. They
lower
say 7%,
rates.
man. They
Not
got to
when the
lower that.
economy
It's too
needs
high
it.
for the
Nope.
average person.
He said, when my guy, Kevin Warsh, is in there, we'll get the interest rates that I, Donald Trump, wants. So independence takes courage. Let's check out your independence and your courage. We'll start easy. Mr. Warsh, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Oh, my gosh.
We try to keep politics, if I'm confirmed, out of the Federal
I'm just
Reserve.
asking you a factual
He doesn't have to
question.
answer that question.
I need
It's
to know,
ridiculous.
I need to
He
measure
doesn't have to
your
answer that.
independence
It's nothing
and
to
your
do with
courage.
him as the Fed.
Senator, I believe
You
that this body
banana.
certified that election many years ago.
That's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking, did Donald Trump lose in 2020?
And I'm suggesting you in
I'm
2020, the
suggesting you
Fed
can't
made
answer that.
a huge inflation problem, and you certified the election.
So
We
let
need to
me
keep
ask you
politics
another
out of
question.
monetary
He's not gonna
policy.
answer
In our
that question.
meeting, you
Monetary
said
policy
you
out of
would
politics.
be independent because you're
This
quote,
is crazy.
a tough guy. Those were your words.
This is
tough
crazy.
guy.
She's doing this
And
for
you will be able to
views, man. This
stand
is
up
just for
to
TV.
President Trump. So
She
let's
knows
try
it, too.
again. Name one aspect of President Trump's
You're supposed to put your
economic
collar down,
agenda
man. What you doing?
with which you disagree.
She's all like flared up.
Well, Senator, the Federal Reserve in recent years has wandered outside of its remit, wandered into other
I'm
areas.
asking for something.
That's
This
not
is
something
spicy
I'm
stuff
prepared
right
to
here,
do.
guys.
On.
If I'm
Just
confirmed,
one
the Federal
one
Reserve should stay in
economic
its
issue.
lane.
Just one little place where you disagree with Donald
Well, I
Trump.
do have a disagreement, actually, Senator, with the president. I think even this morning, he said that he thought I was out of central casting. I think central casting, I'd look older, grayer, and maybe show up here with a cigar of sorts.
Quite adorable. But you know, we need a Fed chair
playing with her,
who is
man.
independent. That's the only way we preserve the independence
I agree
of the
with
Federal Reserve.
Yo, this is
If
crazy.
you can't answer these questions, you don't have the courage and you don't have the independence.
I
Oh,
agree
Thank
with
you,
you on
Mr.
independence,
Chairman.
Senator.
oh,
Senator Rounds.
oh.
Thank you.
Dude, this
Thank you,
lady's
Mr.
the
Chairman.
worst, bro. I'm from Massachusetts. She does not represent
Mr. Walsh,
us.
First of all, welcome.
Big business.
And, I appreciated the opportunity to visit with you personally within the office. I agree with you, and I think Fed independence is critical. And I think that's an item that you and I agree on wholeheartedly. I want to take an opportunity just to kind of perhaps give you an opportunity to respond. I know that the ranking member had a number of items that she expressed concerns with. I'd like to give you an opportunity to just kind of work this way through. And let me just ask you a few questions, and I'll allow you to take the time to fully answer the questions. As I understand, Mr. Warsh, you worked with the career ethics professionals at the Office of Government Ethics and at the Fed to come to an agreement in terms of your dissolution of some of the assets that you as a businessman have. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator, that is correct. I worked with the Fed ethics officials first, answered all of their questions. then with the career professionals, the Office of Government Ethics, answered all of their questions. And then they wrote up an ethics agreement, which is part of the public record.
Target there is
But because I agree
76,800.
with Senator Warren on the ethical questions that have been raised over the last several years by several people that were members of the FOMC, so that there's no question about my independence, no question about the clarity of my financial record. I agreed to divest virtually all of my financial assets.
Someone says
the
you got that
large
Native
majority of
American
which
spirit.
will be
You're funny.
divested
American
before
spirit, huh?
I raise my right hand and am sworn into office if confirmed by this body. So I've gone above and beyond, not for any other special reason other than the Fed needs to reestablish its credibility because the conduct of policy depends on it.
So let me just, for the record, the agreement which you have signed clearly states that you have agreed to divest your assets that are in question within 90 days of confirmation if you have not already divested them. That is correct.
Yes, Senator, and in fact, the large majority of those assets will be divested before I am sworn into office if confirmed.
Thank you. The career ethics professionals were the ones that basically had sent your signed paperwork to this committee's chief clerk. I really question whether or not they would have done that if they did not come to the ethics agreement with you in the first place, correct?
Yes, I presume that's right. We had a very good working relationship, and I'm happy to be sitting after the divestiture and cash or T-bills or whatever's the permitted asset.
right back down,
so
see?
we can get back to the business of fixing the Fed, reforming an institution that has lost its way a bit, that has missed the mark. As Chairman Scott said at the outset, this inflation risk is still something that's being talked about around kitchen tables and boardrooms. My preferred definition of stable prices is a little different than most.
If he sticks to they missed the mark, then he could cut the rates without being a puppet. You see what I'm saying? Like, so you got to stay on these ideas with the criticism of the previous Fed chair, right? So
Most academics.
you got to have to read through the lines here how this is going,
The sooner that we
right?
can reform the institution with my colleagues if confirmed, the sooner we can ensure price stability.
Wow, they ripped that right
and we
down.
can have
Be careful
a
today.
new set of leaders atop the institution with high, credible, ethical standards to return the Fed to what it should be. The independence
love
that
this.
both Chairman Scott and Senator Warren mentioned, critically important. But independence has to be earned. And it's earned by delivering on the promises, the commitments that the Fed has made. And as the Fed hasn't delivered on those promises, we shouldn't be surprised that we hear politics that are entering the room at the Fed. We need to get the politics out of it so the Fed can focus on its day job, deliver on full employment and stable prices.
It's true that people want to see stability within the Fed, but is it okay for a Fed governor or a chairman to change their mind on a particular policy?
It's more than okay, it's essential. Economics is not physics, it's not math. Frankly, most of us that ended up in the economics business, we started like I did as a math
I thought it
major.
was math.
It was too hard. So we ended up in economics. In economics, what we need to do is focus to the left of the decimal point, not to the right of the decimal point. We need to focus on the big things. And if mistakes are made, central bankers, economic policymakers need to correct them fast. The real mistakes, the mistakes that cause inflation to be persistent, to undermine hardworking Americans' standard of living, and when those mistakes go on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
I
Chairman.
love this. He's really going hard
Senator
on
Reid.
Jerome Powell right now. and
Mr.
the
Chairman,
previous people.
before we start the next question,
We gotta bounce up this
I ask
200.
that we have entered into the record
This guy's funny.
the U.S. Office of Government Ethics certification, which requires that all nominees disclose all of their assets, and showing that Mr. Warsh is out of compliance and that he has not met the ethics requirements.
Without objection, I will note, however, that what has been clearly articulated is that he will, according to his agreement with OGE, do what many others have done as well within 90 days, be not only in compliance, but to have divested himself from any assets that are in question.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask? I don't think we've had other nominees who are out of compliance and not disclosing at the time they come before the hearing.
Not on this committee, that's correct.
Not in this committee.
Before we, here's what we're not going to do.
She might have a point.
Fair enough.
You know
We're
what I
not
mean?
gonna have two
I'm not all one thing. I'm always
Sure.
open
Number
to
one.
listen.
Number two, what we're also not going to do is debate what we're putting into the record. And finally, what we are going to do is have a conversation about America's economy. And frankly, we all deserve the opportunity to ask our questions. We don't get to figure out the answers, but we do get to ask our questions. And I hope that we are able to continue in that direction. As long as we are, we're going to have a very good hearing. And if we're not, then I will find a way to help us to expedite getting back on track. Senator Reid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Walsh. Until you dispose of all the assets you've identified to the Office of Government Ethics, you will not be in compliance. Is that correct?
My understanding is that a signed ethics agreement provides duties and responsibilities on me and duties and responsibilities on the government, and that's what the nature of the ethics agreement is.
You have an agreement that within 90 days, you will dispose of all your assets. All your assets. Is that correct?
Senator, I have an agreement within 90 days so that there is no appearance of anything inappropriate, that I would divest all of my assets, the majority of which before sworn in. What I've disclosed, Senator, is all the information that is mine to disclose. I've shared all information about assets that I control and that I can share, which I did much to the satisfaction of the Government Ethics Office.
Excuse me. What you've said is that you will take the oath, if confirmed as chairman, with assets that's already been identified as presenting potential
Now you want to
conflicts of
CC on
interest.
the 1 minute shoulder,
Will you
head,
agree
right shoulder.
to
This will come
not
down.
take the oath until you have fully disposed all the assets that you've been identified?
Senator, I'll agree to take the oath pursuant to the terms of the ethics agreement that I struck with the Office of Government Ethics. I don't think anyone could do more than that other than me. I've agreed to divest even more assets so that I will have virtually no financial assets.
The divestiture is totally up to you. You can select what assets you're disposing of, what assets you keep. Is that correct? And then still be sworn in as chairman.
The divestiture is up to the agreement that I struck with the Office of Government Ethics.
Who makes the decision as to what assets are divested, you or the Office of Government Ethics?
Both of us. That's why it's an agreement.
Excuse me. I must commend you on the way you can circularly go around questions and not answer them. It's a skill. Unfortunately, it's not a good skill for the chairman or of the Federal Reserve Board. We typically ask questions and expect to get direct, faithful answers. You haven't given them to the ranking member, and you're not giving them to me. So, again, you feel you will not be, you will be compliant if after 90 days you still have a significant number of assets that have been identified as presenting conflicts of interest. Is that your view?
No, Senator. If I were to violate the ethics agreement, I would not be in compliance. If I follow the agreement, I will be.
Well, that's your position. I think others would differ. When you sell all your assets, where are you going to place the proceeds of those sales? I believe that Chairman Powell has placed them in sort of funds which are very difficult to individually influence. Do you propose to do that?
Yeah, I propose to put them in permissible assets that are as close to cash or treasury bills as I possibly can. I haven't selected anything, but it will be as plain vanilla as possible so that there would be no
So
appearance
vanilla.
or reality of having any influence.
White bread
Be sitting
vanilla.
in something like cash.
Okay. Now,
Straight vanilla.
the question of independence is just one that I think will dominate these proceedings. This morning, President Trump was asked on CNBC, will you be disappointed if your new Fed chair doesn't cut rates right away? And President Trump answered, I would. It's very hard to separate President Trump's obsession with rate cuts, his attacks on the Federal Reserve, on Chairman Powell particularly, and your nomination. So this independence thing seems to have evaporated quite quickly between President Trump's statements and your position.
Just say Bitcoin, please. Just say Bitcoin. All right?
Again,
That's all we want you guys to do. Say the word Bitcoin, and we can move on here.
Independent of President Trump?
Yes, Senator, I do.
Well, President Trump constantly maintains that nobody's independent of him, that it's his morality that guides the whole United States
Look,
government.
shoulder, head, right shoulder there. You see
And
that?
that you will be someone who will carry out his wishes. Frankly, do you suspect that he chose you because you indicated to him that you want to cut rates?
Senator, I don't know the reason for the president's choice, but I can tell you what I've been writing about for 15 years and what I said to the president, which is
You're going to cut. I'll cut rates if you give me the job.
no, that's not what I said, Senator. Now, the president, as you might know, much like virtually all presidents I've either
This
known
dude's
or
clean,
studied,
man. This dude
presidents
knows how
tend
to
be
present it
for
with the
cutting
clean look.
rates.
You know what I mean? You
I
got
think the
to.
difference is President Trump expresses it quite publicly without surrogates or subterfuge, but presidents want lower rates. But Fed independence is up to the Fed. Fed leadership has to make a decision about what's the right thing to do.
No.
In my judgment,
You're a leader. You're the leader. You establish the moral and ethical standards and economic principles of the Fed. And you just pass it off to, well, it's not my job, it's everybody's job. That means it's nobody's job. Thank you.
Senator Tillis,
Mr. Chair, before my time starts, can I make a parliamentary inquiry?
certainly.
I want to make sure that we get this right because I'm not an attorney, but I think it's pretty important to suggest that according to Mr. Warsh, he has signed an agreement that is in compliance provided that he executes the agreement.
Correct.
So we should not have into the record that he is before us out of compliance because you stipulated that what Senator Warren said was a first of a kind here, but he is not out of compliance. He has agreement that if he executes, will be in compliance. That's why he's properly before us. And I just want to make sure for the record that that is clear.
Yeah, very clear. Let me just say it. I'm going to reiterate what you just said, but I was writing it down myself. The Office of Government Ethics has entered into an agreement with Kevin Warsh that he has up until 90 days after confirmed to divest of his assets.
So the word, I mean, to non-attorneys here, I heard someone say he's before us out of compliance.
It's
And
just not
that's
a-
why I checked with the staff to be absolutely certain.
That's not true.
He is properly before us. He will be in compliance if he executes agreement that addresses the concerns that have been presented by some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. I just want to confirm for the record that that is in fact accurate.
So if we're doing a matter here of, is this parliamentary inquiry? Is that what this is?
I've made a parliamentary inquiry, so I'm not burning my time on something
I
that I thought
understand.
felt like a cheap shot to say he's out of compliance when in
Then-
fact he's not.
Then I'd like to ask the other question, and that is, have we seen this agreement? Do we have any way to verify that, in fact, these sales will occur if we have no idea what's in them and no one has told? And let's remember the law for a minute. The Fed, unlike other parts of government, do not have a 90-day you can be out of compliance. Fed law is explicit that you cannot own any portion of a financial interest in a bank. or a
Mr. President,
financial
Mr.
institution.
Chairman, excuse me
Very
for
good.
interrupting.
This-
Senator,
Now I'm
are we
going to let the
gonna-
attorneys take
Are we
over.
going to all get extra time here?
No.
I'd like extra 3 minutes,
All right.
okay?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I
She
just-
gets to
for
talk the whole
record,
dang
and
time.
The only reason I said
That was a parliamentary inquiry, so it doesn't count,
Yeah. But
okay?
Mr. Chair, the reason I mentioned that is because you had stipulated it. I don't think you meant it this way, but you as a chair said that
You gotta
this is
love
the
Joe,
first of
man.
a kind of someone being out
He
of
always sets
compliance.
it
I don't think you
straight,
meant
bro.
that. I wanted to make sure
Let me
it was clear for the record.
Well, let me just be very clear again. The career ethics professionals were the ones that sent Mr. Warsh's signed paperwork to this committee's chief clerk. They would not have done so if they did not come to an ethics agreement with Mr. Warsh.
Amen.
Mr.
What a waste
Kennedy,
of time. So we
Senator
just
Kennedy
spent
does raise
30
a
minutes
point.
doing nothing,
We are going to stick to our
arguing a moot
timeline,
point.
and I appreciate you raising the point of how long inquiry can go on, and that does not buy you more time unless, of course, we all decide we want more time. And then I would rule on that, and I would rule against it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Warsh, congratulations. You can't count this as a date with Jane, particularly this one. I think probably the first hearing was a little less acrimonious. I'm not going to ask you anything. You can take a break and get ready for the bludgeoning on the other side. They're going to beat you till you bleed, and then they're going to beat you for bleeding. I'm going to talk about what's preventing me from being in a position to vote for you until we've spent time together in my office. You have extraordinary credentials.
Amen.
They're impeccable. I think the way you're dealing with the ethics issue is strong. Problem I have is where we are right now, and I start by saying I loved your opening statement. I love your focus on the independent.
We can't lose the 200 moving average on the 15. If we do that, we're likely going to drop down to 74,000.
Fed independence with respect to achieving the dual mandate, but Fed transparency on so many other things that the Fed does that, frankly, we're all frustrated with, bank examination, supervision being some among them that I think we should have more insight into. Mr. Chair, I'd like to submit for the record 2 executive orders under President
looking dumpy,
Trump,
though. I got to be honest.
And one in 2025, talking about
Short may
making
take over
federal
here.
Architecture beautiful again, and focusing on trying to preserve the integrity of old buildings.
Without objection.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, I will be submitting an analysis, but if we can go to slide 2 and turn it up right. Much has been made about the building project that has Chair Powell under investigation. I'm not going to get into the details except to say that I used to work for a firm that did audit and compliance, so I'm naturally wired to go back from the ground up and figure out what the deal is. Here's what I know. The Martin building has been conflated into this project to make it a $4 billion building. Even if you put the Martin building in, it's a $3 billion building. The reality is, what we're talking about is the
See a bear flag on the 1 minute. Looks like it wants to go lower, folks.
Bring that up higher, Jack. You're a tall guy, so people can see it. These are the overruns. And these overruns occurred in part because the cost of inputs went up 69% since the original estimate. Asbestos was identified. Remediation was required. Pylons had to be built underneath the building because it turns out they used it as a landfill, and they had a water table issue. There were a variety of reasons why this building went over budget. And as a matter of fact, if we put everybody in prison in federal government that had a budget go over, we'd have to reserve an area roughly the size of Texas for a penal colony because of the way government projects work. And the reality is the overage of inflation.
It's sad, though. They should be tight.
$730 million.
Shouldn't be throwing money around like that. It's not right. It's our money. We work hard for that money. Like,
not acceptable.
I go live every single day.
But legitimate.
I pay a lot.
Now, what I've really got a problem with, and we're talking about Fed independence. By the way, I think you're going to be independent. You have to be. You got to convince 11 other people to vote with you, at least a majority. It's a consensus organization. You try to get the majority to. Most of these votes are 11-1. So if anybody thinks the president can appoint somebody and you unilaterally can control things, you're going to be an unsuccessful chair if history is any guide, and you've served under some of the best. So I know you're going to do it right. The problem that I have here is that we had some U.S. attorney with a dream, or assistant U.S. attorney, thinking it would be cute to bring Chair Powell under an investigation just a few months before the position was going to be open. This happened this year. Normal course and speed. Here's how it works at the Fed. May the 15th, the term would have expired. We'd be having this hearing. You'd be getting confirmed. Custom also suggests that the sitting chair, even though he has 2 years left on his term, would have exited. But instead, we have somebody who thinks a building project that went over by about $700 million with a lot of what seemed to be justifications for it are holding up this whole process. It sounds like to me somebody over in the DOJ didn't even check with the boss. The boss said on the same night that I said I can't go forward until this bogus investigation is done with, said he didn't know anything about it. So we've got people in DOJ over in the D.C. circuit or the D.C. district doing these investigations. We have got to end this investigation. Big DOJ didn't know about it. The president didn't know about it. Let's get rid of this investigation so I can support your confirmation. Mr. Warsh, the only thing I've found the least bit odd about you is you've never watched an episode of Seinfeld. You've spent so much time at being a rock-solid economist that you're not even taking time away for a little laugh like that. I look forward to supporting your nomination, and I look forward to this investigation being taken down. If the chair wants to have all of our subcommittees start looking at capital expenditure projects for the agencies that we're overseeing, I think that's a great idea. And I'd like to be on a committee specifically drilling down on this analysis. If somebody can prove me wrong, I'd be happy to make a criminal referral. But I don't have the D.C. Circuit tell me a crime was committed when 7 members on this committee said it wasn't, including the chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Only one question. What is Seinfeld? Senator Van Hollen.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Warsh, good to see you. Reviewing your record, I am concerned that your position on interest rates seems to shift with what's politically convenient rather than based on sound economic
The
judgment.
problem is, what if
in the aftermath of the two?
Sometimes these can overlap. Like sometimes the right thing to do looks like you're doing what you're being told to do. You know what I mean? Like what if sometime you look at the math and it really should be cutting rates, and everyone's going to say, "Oh, you're doing what Donald Trump wants you to do." What if, you know what I mean? Every once in a while they're going to overlap, but because there's so much bickering, they're always going to say it's bipartisan. It's kind of crazy. It's almost like we'll never get clarity anymore if we're always fighting.
Embrace lower rates, a view that conveniently aligns with the president who nominated you. You've made this pivot even as today prices are too high. I think we all know that. Our economy works for families when prices are affordable and unemployment is
It's
low.
really important we
That's
bounce
why
on the
price
15-minute 200 here,
is an
folks.
important part of the Fed's mandate.
This is
right?
very important for today, for the Bulls.
Senator, yes.
And the Fed uses its monetary policy tools for price stability and full employment. That's the job Congress gave to the Fed. Here's how Ben Bernanke described how the Fed uses those tools. He said, and I'm quoting, "Generally, if economic weakness is the primary concern, the Fed acts to reduce interest rates, which supports the economy. If the economy is overheating, the Fed can raise interest rates to constrain inflationary pressures," end of quote. So that's a textbook model of the Fed. Cutting rates supports the economy, but can lead to higher inflation, while raising rates helps to fight inflation, but can limit growth. Do you agree with Chairman Bernanke that that's generally how the Fed can use monetary policy to affect the economy?
Senator, I do agree generally with that proposition, but I'll note at a moment like this, the supply side of the economy is changing dramatically. So the core of what Chairman Bernanke said is a question about what's the economy's potential. As I said in my opening remarks, I think the economy's potential is growing quite quickly, and that makes the decision that you tee up to be a difficult one, and one that the Fed's going to have to dig deep in evaluating what's the right policy choice in the upcoming meetings.
Well, I want to push you a little bit on that in a moment, but right now the Fed has set its main interest rate at 3.5 to 3.7%. Last December, President Trump told the Wall Street Journal he wanted to cut rates to 1% and maybe lower than that by the end of this year.
I'll be fired.
So just to better understand,
Mortgages would
how
be
you
so
think
cheap. I
about
could do so much, man. I could put so many people to work.
Bernanke laid out.
You know,
Let's say there's an economy with decent growth and no recession. If the central bank were to cut rates,
the
from
Federal Reserve is the biggest
3.5
joke. It's not federal, and there's no reserves. Yeah.
to 1% or lower, a massive cut, that would typically push prices up, right?
Senator, unlike many of my colleagues, past and present, I don't believe in forward guidance. I don't believe that I should be previewing for you what a future decision might be. I think it's essential that the
Warsh,
Fed make decisions in the room.
Mr. Warsh, I'm not asking you what decision you would make. Obviously, that's going to be up to you. I'm asking you for the framework in which you think about these things. And it seems
That's basically the same question. What are you talking about, man?
About what would happen
that's semantics,
if
bro.
we reduced interest rates by the end of this year to 1% or less. And under the Bernanke model, and I think almost every economist.
So we're getting that little bounce
or
off
most
the 200
economists
there.
would say that that will drive up prices. And so that's what I'm asking you. Would you agree that that would likely drive up prices?
So, Senator, the Fed has two important monetary policy tools. One is interest rates, and the other is a balance sheet that we created in the 2008 financial crisis. Those tools should be working in concert, not at cross purposes. So it's hard for me to isolate one variable when we'd have to have a discussion on the other.
All right.
But generally, sorry.
Well, let me just say this was a pretty clear question about the framework in which these decisions are made. I have heard you talk about
Nice bounce off the
how
15-minute 200
AI
here.
may change that calculation. I will just say, and I think you know this, I mean, I have this, you know, the Financial Times pointed out the economists reject Kevin Warsh's claim that the AI boom will enable rate cuts. And I find it just implausible to suggest that by the end of this year, AI would produce such increases in productivity that it could reduce in a rate cut to below 1%. And you can't tell me that that would very likely increase prices.
So, Senator, can I say two things? First,
Senator,
sorry.
quickly.
Sorry. Monetary Policy Center works with long and variable lags. Quite famously, if the Fed were to make a decision today about the conduct of policy, it's likely to find its way to the real economy 6, 9, or 12 months later. So it's difficult to judge.
I got some ice in case you hurt your fingers. Yes, hit the like button, folks, please.
And that would be my only concern about the framing of your
Only
question.
345 likes and 1,300 people,
Chairman,
1,400 people on the stream.
In closing, this is what concerns me, is that your views now have sort of flipped to conform with where the President of the United States is. And that's been a concern many of us have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Kennedy?
I want extra time, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman.
So don't cut the rates. Make it hard for me to get a mortgage at 7% right now. The mortgage rate's too high, folks. It's 7%. That's high. I talked to an accountant yesterday who was talking about a mortgage for me. You know, if I had to borrow $1 million, it's going to cost me like $8-9 a month with a very high interest rate. So it just... And then I can't buy more real estate. I can't put more guys to work doing a roof over. I can't, you know what I mean? If they lower that rates, I personally can do more for the entire area that I live in. I can hire more people. I can do more business deals. It's going to be amazing. So, like,
Sock puppet?
I need those rates to get cut, man.
Absolutely not.
Are you going to be anybody's human sock puppet?
No, I'm honored the president nominated me for the position, and I'll be an independent actor if confirmed as chairman of the Federal Reserve.
My friend, Senator Warren, and she, as my friend, suggested that, I wrote it down, you will use your power, you might use your power to bail out your friends if they get in trouble, kind of like President Biden did with Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. She didn't say the last part, I just did. Are you going to do that?
No, son.
The ethics folks.
I love it.
They've cleared you, but they've said you got to sell some assets. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And these assets that you have, you can't just hold a yard sale, can you?
No, not for most of them, sir.
Okay, so it takes a reasonable period of time, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've promised to sell them, right?
I did.
And if you don't sell them, we'll know, and the ethics folks will know, right?
Yes, I'd be in violation of the ethics agreement if I refuse to sell them.
But you're going to sell them, right?
Yes, Senator, I will.
Okay. Can we agree that politicians have the right to offer you advice about what to do with interest rates?
Senator, we can agree, and it's not something that I would shy away from. I've heard many senators from this very committee in years past express strong views on interest rates.
Okay.
Humble central bankers should be listening and then making their own decisions.
But some politicians matter more than others. And generally speaking, presidents matter, their opinion matters more than, say, a senator.
This guy said, us poor people don't want
President
rate cuts.
Trump
Why?
is
It doesn't make any sense. So you don't want more work? You don't want more rich people to get more loans so they can create more work for you? You're not making sense, bro. It's facts, man. It's facts. If they cut that interest rate, I can borrow more money at a cheaper rate. which means I can take on bigger real estate deals.
Right?
Senator, he has not made his opinion on that a secret to anybody.
Yeah. And every president has that you're aware of.
Yes, they all tend to be in the same direction, Senator Kennedy.
Okay. Now, the problem is, can we agree that your credibility as Fed chairman is the most important thing you have?
It's the most important thing to me, it's the most important thing to the institution, and it's the most important thing to the successful conduct of policy.
Okay.
If the markets
that's a yes, right?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. The problem is that President Trump has said he's not going to appoint anybody who wouldn't agree to lower interest rates. Have you agreed with the president that you're going to lower interest rates?
Senator, I'm glad you framed it that way. The president never asked me to predetermine, commit, fix, decide on any interest rate decision in any of our discussions, nor would I ever agree to do so.
So the president has never
15-minute 200
down,
really
looked
held
you
us
in the
down
eye
right there.
and said, here's the deal, Scooter. I'm going to appoint you,
Listen, Scoot.
but you got to agree to lower interest rates. That
Scooter.
didn't happen or did happen?
The president never once asked me to commit to any particular interest rate decision, period.
It's already
and
determined.
Nor would I ever agree to do so if he had, but he never did. I was honored he nominated me. Like everyone else in the committee in the world, I've heard his view on interest rates. It sounded very similar to me to every other president in economic history that I've studied.
Okay. I've got one more question because I'm about to run out of my parliamentary inquiry time. I've heard your argument the last few months about artificial intelligence has made us so productive, labor so productive that companies don't have to raise prices. Therefore, inflation isn't a problem. Therefore, rates can be cut. Do you really believe that right now?
No, that
It's
is not how I
actually
would characterize the
makes sense.
story on AI.
Okay, but you said what I just said, haven't you?
I have said that this is the most disruptive moment in modern economic history in the U.S. and the world. I've said that artificial intelligence, AI, short
Okay,
for
let me
American
stop you
Ingenuity,
because
Is that Bo
will never
Hines?
the
affect.
chair's going to cut me off.
Oops, sorry.
Here's my worry, that a lot of this stuff about artificial intelligence making us more productive is a bunch of hype by people who want to sell stock in an IPO. Okay, I'd be careful there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll get to my 5 minutes in a little bit.
You come back about midnight, sir, and we'll go ahead and start all over again. Brand new day, sir. Brand new day. Thank you for your patience. Senator
Thank you.
Cortez Masto.
Thank you. Mr. Warsh, thank you for taking the time with me. I appreciate meeting with you. Congratulations on this nomination, and welcome to all your family, friends who are here. Let me talk to you about a couple of things. It's really around economic theory, and we have talked a little bit about this when we were meeting. Inflation has been above the Fed's target for 5 years. Would you agree with that?
I said that. Remember when I told you
and
guys
core
they would
PCE
never?
and-
Remember when I said they're never going to get to 2%? I've been saying that since 2021 on my stream, man. And I told you I'm going to run for president on it, right? I was like, man, now I realize I don't know if I ever want to run for president, man. It seems like a president is a pawn.
Inflation has been running.
I want to be the guy
about
that puts the
3%,
president
a full
in.
point
You know what I
above
mean? Who props
that
up the
Fed
guy who
target,
becomes the
correct?
president.
Yes.
And so some Federal Reserve officials have said that this excess is due to tariffs. Do you agree with that?
Senator, I don't. If I can make 2 points.
Please.
Much as we discussed in your office, I think the data that's being used to judge inflation is quite imperfect data. And among the projects that the economics profession, and if I'm confirmed as chairman of the Fed needs to do, is to try to use our new understanding and new data sources to see what's really the inflation rate in the economy. We used to use core PCE, core measures.
How do you already know I'm not in the
exclude
Brotherhood?
Food and energy, because it was sort of a rough swag as to what was going on. We don't have to do a rough swag anymore. What I'm most interested in is what's the underlying inflation rate, not what's the one-time change in prices because of a change in geopolitics or a change in beef. but what's the underlying generalized change in
Got
prices?
that
in the
beef over
economy?
here. Who's got beef?
And my broad sense is
Don't be
that
beefing
these
with me.
inflation risks and the inflation damage the last several years is improving somewhat. It has improved somewhat in the last year. The measures I prefer are looking at things that are called trimmed averages, where we take out all of the tail risks, all of the one-off items, and we ask ourselves whether the generalized change in prices is having second-order effects on the economy. Again, they're not where they should be, but I think that the trend is quite favorable.
And these trend averages and the data that you're looking at now, it's not traditionally the norm that economists would
foot's
use
doing good,
in
thank you.
this position. Is that correct?
Some
Appreciate you, bro.
in the economics profession are increasingly looking to these median type measures, but among the projects I would hope to undertake as one of the first reforms at the Fed is a data project.
Alberta
where we would
beef.
go off and we would evaluate with the public sector and the private sector, including the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a survey of 1 billion prices. And what I'm really most interested, Senator, is what's the change of that 500 millionth and one price? Because that's inflation. That's a change in the generalized
God
level.
bless you, AZ.
In a market economy, prices change all the time, and I don't want to be confused by that. I want to know what inflation really is, and I still think there's some work to do.
And I respect, listen, I'm listening to you today and talking with you.
She's
I
a Democrat,
respect
but she
who
sounds
you
like a
believe
normal
as
human being.
As an economist and a theorist in this theory, in what you are talking to us today about, which is traditionally not the norm. And many are disagreeing with you on that and publicly disagreeing. And so I understand that. But I guess the position I have is I hope you're right. But at the end of the day, my concern is people are suffering right now with high costs and we need to address it. And I don't know how long it's going to take for your economic theory to gain traction or to be proven that it's going to benefit so many people in this country right now. And here's one other thing, because I don't have that much time, and this is what is also a concern of mine, so I want you to address it. Earlier, you've been on the Federal Reserve Board, and you were there during the financial crisis of 2008. You and I talked about this. I was the Attorney General then. It hit Nevada so hard. Here's what I do know, and at that time, in 2006, you
You got so much
attended
time, man.
numerous meetings where housing experts pleaded with you to stop predatory mortgages. In fact, Gail Burks, who was the CEO of Nevada's Fair Housing at that time, who I worked with, repeatedly warned Fed leadership, including you, about predatory lending practices such as flipping loans or misinforming seniors about reverse mortgages. And in 2007, you said, and I quote, subprime mortgages have gotten a bad name in this environment, and in some cases, that's not just. You also said that you don't see any immediate systemic risk issues among big banks. And you said that at that time. And then just recently, and this is what I want you to address, Senator Warren has said that you told her you had no regrets during this tenure. How can we trust that your economic theory, when you were wrong then, is going to be the accurate theory we need now to help so many families and businesses that are struggling with the policies that we're dealing with now?
Senator, let me address a few things. The chairman is going to cut me off when he must, but I would say this. For many years before the global financial crisis, I warned about the very real risks of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac blowing up, which they did. I think that part of the housing market was vulnerable for many years, and not enough was done about it, even in spite of my protestations and my urging about GSE reform. It wasn't done. I think that compounded the financial crisis. Secondly, I think subprime mortgages then, subprime assets then, were indicative of prices of almost every financial asset that were mispriced. What I suggested then and what I believe now is that subprime mortgages were just indicative of a set of prices that were incorrect, and they all repriced. Just to give one fine example before I turn to the chairman.
Perhaps no examples right now.
Okay, sorry.
Let's go to Senator
Thank you.
Haggerty. I want to give you an opportunity to finish that exchange.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Warsh, I want to welcome you and your family. And I want the committee to know that I have known Kevin Warsh for 30 years. We first crossed paths back in 1992, shortly after Kevin graduated from Stanford. We both worked on the White House staff at that point in time. And I just want to say this, that the man testifying before us today is the same man that I got to know then. Serious, disciplined, with a true heart for public service. And I want to say this, I've said it before, Kevin Warsh is the man for the moment. His background, his experience, and his discipline are precisely what we need to bring our economy into its full potential. I'm delighted to see him here today as we both reinforce competence here at home and do the same thing abroad.
Sitting in this
And if I think
tight
about
range.
Kevin's qualifications, think about the contrast with the nominations that we saw with the last administration. I think this committee will recall that President Biden nominated a prospective
This man's
federal
voice is
bank
butter.
regulator, frankly,
Almost as
graduate
butter as the
of Moscow
lifers.
State University in Russia,
Let me tell you
who
something.
advocated for replacing private bank deposits with retail accounts held at the central bank. Those who might criticize Kevin for his private sector success miss the point. Kevin's experience is not a liability, it's an asset. It brings a practical understanding in terms of how markets function to bear, how capital is allocated, and how policy decisions shape the real economy. Mr. Warsh, how will your experiences in both the public and the private sector shape your governance of the Fed should you be confirmed?
Senator, thank you very much, and thanks for the kind introduction. For your colleagues on this panel, Senator Haggard and I shared a desk in 91 and 92, so I've known him for a very long time. I think my prior experience at the Fed, which
They're all
some of your
cronies.
colleagues
They
made
all
reference
know
to,
each other.
are
Yeah.
going to allow me to hit the ground running. This is as consequential a moment for the U.S. economy and, frankly, for the institution as any point since the late 1970s. And so my experience at the Fed, my understanding of the people, the culture, the governance, and of the things that are ripe for reform are going to give me a leg up. We don't have a long time to do new studies and contemplate what reform should be. We have a short window to try to bring inflation back down to where it should be to ensure price stability. And because AI that Senator Kennedy referenced is so consequential, and AI is quickly becoming at something like escape velocity, it's important to revisit the Fed's models and see whether this innovation cycle, while it could have over time improvements in the price level and make the Fed's job on inflation easier, there's a question about what that means for employment, which is another part of the Fed's mandate. So I think that's part and parcel of what my background and suggestion and history would suggest. But if I can make one other point, what the Fed needs is a reform to its frameworks and reforms to its communications. I've seen what the Fed's done well, and often I'll give them one cheer or two. But now more than ever, the Federal Reserve needs 3 cheers, and that's what I hope to deliver.
Well, let's stay on this point, particularly, and you've mentioned this in your commentary, the point of the Fed's mission creep over the years.
Oil in an inverted head and shoulder here, folks. Likely to jump up to the 200 moving average. That's just a very obvious move. I've played it many times on many assets. You get in here, you put a stop below the wick, and I mean, you'll likely get a punch up to 97. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it is something that we're watching here, folks. All right.
Remit.
Sorry to interrupt.
Can they get? In the 2020 Monetary Policy Review, the Fed even sought to redefine its legislative mandate of maximum employment as a broad-based and inclusive goal, close quote. I mean, that's tacitly understood to mean that the Fed should accept higher inflation to privilege select groups of Americans. And while the Fed undertook this social engineering, it also financially engineered a massive footprint in our market. QE provided near unlimited bid for government debt, which of course made it easy for us to subsidize more government debt here. It subsidized government financing, and it encouraged, frankly, what I view as very reckless federal spending. In each of these examples, we see a clear pattern. The Fed has strayed beyond its core mandate to encroach upon policy decisions that ought to be left to those of us that are democratically accountable. Mr. Warsh, the Fed's own actions have eroded its credibility. What do you think should be done to regain public trust?
Wow.
Senator, robust reform. The Fed can deliver on the mandate that you gave it if it sticks to its knitting. As it wanders into areas upon which it has neither authority or expertise, it loses its focus. And I'll just give one example. In 2020, as you reference, when the Federal Reserve changed its inflation framework in August of 2020, inflation was running at around 1.72%. And the Fed changed its framework, rewrote in some sense the remit you gave it, and they asked for a little more inflation. They ended up with a lot more, and that was the foundation for the inflation surge that happened in the subsequent years, which we're still living with.
Thank you, Mr. Warsh. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Warsh. It's still morning. Let me start with this. I think you have said that you have confidence that this economy has potential. I think that's fair to say. And you've also said that this is a time of great consequence for the nation's economy, perhaps one of the most significant hinge points in a couple of generations. That's fair to say?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. And so I agree with that. And I actually want to go a bit further because I think that it seems to me that this economy is amazing for rich people, people who have a lot of capital. And in fact, we can see in 2025, billionaire wealth grew.
You can make yourself rich in this country. I don't think people realize it. It's up to you. Like they always talk about, like you have no choice. Like you have to be poor.
Massive portion.
I've lived poor. I've lived rich. It's up to you.
And this, I think, is the tipping point that our economy actually faces right now. And I can tell you that.
I just got to make a quick point right now, right? Look at me. I got a suit on. Whatever. I have a pretty good life. Everyone knows what has happened to me if you study me and you watch me in the last 5 years. And you know that my life went like this. And from investing, from learning, from studying millionaires and billionaires and really putting in the work, I haven't taken a day off. Everyone that gets jealous of me or jealous of someone who's richer than them or has done something, dude, I haven't taken a day off in 1,800 days. I know so many people poorer than me that have had way more vacations, way more time, way more relaxation than I have. And I'm not trying to be rude. I want to make a point here that in this country of America, you can be rich or poor. It is up to you. You can create an opportunity for yourself. There is so much opportunity here in America. You know, whenever I watch politics, they act like you're stuck as being poor, like it's your fault and the rich will always push you down. And yes, there's people who are privileged. But listen, man, I made more money than some people that went to Harvard and Yale. You know, I ended up, or maybe as much, but I'm just saying, I never had a rich daddy. I didn't have, I wasn't connected. I didn't go to some Ivy League school. I went to St. John's University in Queens. I built myself up from the bottoms up. You can too. Don't ever let these people think that you deserve to be poor, man. Okay? I just want to make that clear.
About it.
That's right. I mean, the economy that is roaring like
Sorry to interrupt.
Never roaring before.
So, Senator, if I can clarify two things. One, there's a difference between the change in prices and inflation. The change in prices happen in a market economy. When inflation moves up, that's because the Fed had something to do with it. Now, on the state of the economy, I would say that the broad contours of the economy are improving. The potential of the economy, the real results of the economy are improving, but I think it can improve more. And I think in the years ahead, I think the economy's potential is strengthening.
So, the reality is that the economic data, understanding what you're saying about economic data being not imperfect, that there was almost zero job growth in 2025. And so that looks to me like not a roaring economy. It looks like a weak economy, which is what my constituents are telling me back in Minnesota. Let me go to one last look at this. Around the country, the average cost of home insurance.
Look at this guy. We don't all have your opportunities. Yes, you do. I started with nothing, man. I went online. I was a night shift worker. I didn't know anything about trading. I started watching trading. I started touching buttons. I started forcing myself to trade. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a rich uncle, brother, sister. Nobody told me any of this stuff. I learned this stuff on my own. Then I taught it to the world. Then I showed people how I made money with Bitcoin and other things. I found 100Xs, 50Xs, man. Anyone could have done what I did. Anybody. I just don't like this guy saying that we don't all have your opportunity. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You have God by your side. You have the ability to believe in yourself, and you could have done what I did. Anyone could have done it. I did it from nothing. I didn't get anything from anybody. I sat in my house with my computer, and I turned it into a freaking empire, man. Don't tell yourself that you can't do this indie trades. That's insane. You're stealing your power, man. Don't steal your power. That's horrible for you to do. Don't steal your power, man. You can do that. Sorry.
Education, we look at housing, those prices have tended to go up more in the less regulated parts of the economy. We've seen a downward structure, a downward change in prices, and we try to aggregate them the best we can.
But I'm not.
You guys got
exactly sure
limiting
what your point
beliefs
is
if you
there, but
think
I
that
would
you
just
don't
say
have the
that
opportunity
my
I
point
have.
Here is that
You
rising
do have
home
opportunity
insurance
I have.
rates
You could do
caused by
anything you put your mind to. You have the
increasing,
internet, you have AI, you have
extreme
so
weather
much at your
events, climate
fingertips.
change is another
Stop making
inflationary
excuses and
pressure
start
that
getting to
people in
work.
my state are dealing with. And this, of course, the reason I'm focusing on this is because I'm worried that because of the pressure that you are going to be under from the president to lower interest rates, that this inflationary pressure that my constituents are feeling is going to get worse and not better. And so I don't have time to ask my last question, but it is literally this. The president has said that he demands that the next Fed chair will lower interest rates. And I take him at his word at that, and that is what causes me such grave concern here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Senator Lomas.
He says not everyone has a high IQ. You have high IQ, and that's why you could do this. I am not that smart, everybody. I really am not. I'm not that smart. Like, I took a right shoulder on an inverted head and shoulder. Like, that's not, you don't have to be intelligent to look at a right shoulder and buy in and put a stop loss below it. I am not as smart as you think I am. You see the suits, you see me talk fast, and you assume I'm the smartest guy in the room. I am not that smart. I want to make that really clear, man. I'm just consistent. Look at my life, man. Success leaves clues.
Thank you.
All right?
Size of the balance sheet.
Loomis. There she is.
Thank you, Senator. As we talked about in your office, the Fed balance sheet has played a particularly, I think, unhelpful role in helping the Fed achieve its dual mandate. The senator had just mentioned what she described as the increase for financial assets relative to real assets. Well, part of that is the Federal Reserve. The Fed is not blameless in that as it's grown the Fed's balance sheet, grown its
6.6 trillion
imprimatur on the economy, those with financial assets have benefited from it. The reason why I prefer monetary policy to use interest rates as the dominant force is interest rates affect a far broader cross-section of the economy. Interest rates get in the cracks. If we were to cut rates, then broader number of people will benefit from it versus quantitative easing, which tends to move through financial assets first. Half of our fellow Americans don't own any financial assets, so they're wondering what's in it for them. Broadly speaking, Senator, on the balance sheet, I was involved in 2008 and 9 in response to the global financial crisis that Senator Warren referenced, and we used extraordinary measures and created a bigger balance sheet. But we agreed to do that only in the times of emergencies, only when interest rates were pinned to zero. The big balance sheet has become an ordinary recurring force, and I think has been quite unhelpful, and is part of the reason why the Fed is in the business of politics. Slowly and
Someone said not everyone got the upbringing. You know what? I know a guy with no hands and no legs, and he's bigger than me on social media right now. He goes around the world and speaks. He gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for a few hours of his time. He has no arms and legs, man. He could have sat home and said, oh, boo-hoo-hoo, but he didn't do that. And you got more than him. If you came from a poor household, you came from trauma, you got your arms and legs, man. So go watch a story of someone that has way less than you, that did way more than you, man. Forget about me. Don't even, you guys got to get a perspective on yourself.
deliberatively, I believe we need a smaller central bank balance sheet.
100%.
It took us 18 years to create this big balance sheet that's done quite a bit of harm, it strikes me.
100%.
The Fed's credibility.
100%.
Working with the Treasury Secretary,
Yep.
we're going to have to find out a way in which we can take the balance sheet and make it smaller, because a large balance sheet where the Fed owns more outstanding debt than many parts of the financial markets, that's fiscal policy in disguise. Fed needs to get out of the fiscal business, focus on the monetary business, so the Fed can deliver on the remit you gave us.
Thanks for that response, because some of us don't appreciate the connection between the size of the Fed's balance sheet and interest rates. With regard to interest rates,
100%.
can you tell us a little bit about your conversations with President Trump about interest rates?
Yeah, I don't want to put words in the president's mouth, but I think he has said loudly and clearly his view on interest rates. Don't think I'm breaking any news here. But I can tell you what I said. And what I said to the president is what I've said to this committee and what I've frankly been writing about for more than a decade. Interest rates are the much better way to be using monetary policy than buying bonds and mortgages, some of which are issued from the United States Treasury Department. That is a confusion of roles. That leads to a set of mission creep. So interest rates are the dominant tool, and interest rates, as I mentioned, get in the cracks. My broad view on the conduct of policy from here is that too many Fed officials, past and present, opine in advance about where they think interest rates should be next meeting, next quarter, and next year. I think that's quite unhelpful. As we've heard today from many of your colleagues, we don't know the state of AI. We can't be certain about the state of geopolitics. The economy is going to change. You need central bankers that are humble, that are nimble, that are open-minded, that can react when we have good data, when events strike us. My broad view
that 15-minute 200 just keeps holding us down there. If it breaks, it will get it
better
done.
Data, and we should have a big, robust deliberation inside the FOMC. I tend to favor messier meetings than some, where people don't show up with rehearsed scripts, but we can have a good family fight. If the central bank has that good family fight, I think that they're going to make better decisions. And if they happen to make mistakes, they'll correct them sooner. So I'm not one for pre-deciding what interest rates should be. I never said to the president where I think rates should be. I never committed. So,
Quick yes or no. Do you believe that digital assets should be incorporated into our financial industry so Americans have new investment opportunities?
God bless you,
and
Indie
consumer
Trades.
protection?
I love hearing that.
Senator, digital assets are already part of the fabric
Ooh,
of our
say
financial
Bitcoin.
services industry in the United States.
Say Bitcoin.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Walsh.
She was
Senator
easy.
Warnock.
She was easy.
Thank you, Brother Chair.
She's
Mr.
pro-Bitcoin.
Walsh, congratulations on your nomination, and I appreciated our time together in my office a few weeks ago. If confirmed, you will serve as chair of one of the most powerful economic institutions in the world. Decisions you make would move markets, affect Americans' retirement savings and ability to buy homes. It would influence the global economy. You currently serve as a lecturer at Stanford University. If you were to assign, if Professor Walsh were to assign a letter grade to the American economy today for the average working family, what grade would you assign?
Senator, it was good to meet with you in your office. You know, in modern academic
Took my
institutions,
superchat away, man.
they give everybody A's, so it's not a fair comparison. Especially at elite universities, I know everyone gets perfect grades.
Well, what grade would you give the economy?
Well, if I gave a student anything other than an A, the dean would summon me to his office because I would have hurt his self-image.
Well, the Americans that I talk to, particularly in the state of Georgia, who haven't had the benefit of attending some of these elite institutions, are trying to make their lives work. They're sitting around their kitchen tables trying to figure out
The word try is useless. You either do or you do not. Like,
their kids through school.
get rid of that word, man.
And regardless of how the markets are doing, consumer confidence is at a record low. So that's their grade on the economy.
If you don't believe in
Working
yourself,
families
yeah,
are
your
struggling.
confidence is going to be low.
And things are getting worse. The inflation rate has remained elevated above the Fed's 2% target rate throughout President Trump's term, despite his promise to lower inflation. The president's war in Iran has spiked energy prices by 11%. And Americans are paying on average nearly $4 a gallon for gas because of the war. We've lost nearly 90,000 manufacturing jobs since President Trump.
Nathan, all
took
things can be
office.
healed through
He
God,
promised
man.
us a
If you submit to God, you could do
manufacturing boom.
unbelievable things.
We've lost 90,000 manufacturing jobs. And Americans already dealing with high prices paid $1,000 more per household in 2025 as a direct result of President Trump's illegal tariffs, which he remains committed to in spite of the Supreme Court decision. He does even better than this practice of, these institutions. When asked what grade he would give the economy, he said an A, and then he thought about it and said, no, actually A plus plus plus. And as I thought about his answer, I was wondering.
Howard Schultz, right? Started, ended up becoming, pushing Starbucks billionaire, right? He was born to Ashkenazi Jew parents, Fred and Elaine, in Brooklyn. His father was a truck driver. His mother was a receptionist, dude. He had 2 siblings. He was born in the Canarsie public housing projects, man. His family was poor, okay? And he recounted middle class with one of his contemporaries referred to the development in which he was raised as the country club of projects. Fine, it was a nicer project, but still. The guy didn't come from tons of money, became a billionaire. Just study some of the richest people. You'll find they actually overcome the biggest problems. And you'll be inspired.
$1 billion level when I showed up at the Fed in 2006 to an order of magnitude higher. If the Fed had kept a smaller balance sheet, the way the senator I just talked about a few moments ago, I think interest rates could be lower, inflation could be better, and the economy could be stronger.
Yeah, you discussed your theory of the case with me in that regard. But I think you would agree that the recognition, I think implicit in your testimony is the recognition that this is not a plus economy. In your economy, in your testimony, you note the importance of price stability and correctly note that inflation means people lose purchasing power, particularly harming low-income folks. But I also noticed your testimony did not really discuss the Fed's other mandate, and that's to maximize employment. Inflation is critically important, but if you don't have a job, you're in trouble. Do you view the Fed's mandate for maximizing employment as equally important to its price stability mandate? And are you concerned about weak job growth numbers? Before the nominee answers the question, the senator from the elite university, Morehouse, is out of time. So I appreciate the question, but we will have the answer submitted for the record.
I know you wanted to attend Morehouse College. I'm sorry.
Everybody wants to attend Morehouse, by the way, but I am a Charleston Southern buck.
I appreciate
Very happy about that. He couldn't get into Charleston Southern, but it's good you got in somewhere. This is good.
If you can't get into Morehouse, go to Stanford.
Everybody's got jokes up here, so we'll go to Senator Brett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get started, I want to emphasize that transparency and accountability at the Fed are absolutely vital. The American people need to have trust in our government. We need to have trust in our government agencies, and that includes transparency and accountability at the Fed. So when we're talking about billions of dollars being spent on renovations, it's absolutely appropriate for Congress to ask questions. And it is absolutely appropriate for Congress to get answers. We need to understand where this substantial amount of money has gone, and we need to ensure that every institution, including the Fed, is always making decisions that are in the best interest of the American people. And so I urge everyone involved to make sure that any outstanding questions on this matter come to fruition. So
that's a waste of time. Like, answer your question, though.
Move on.
You know what I mean?
A smooth and timely transition and a confirmation process, of which I want to say congratulations on both your nomination, your willingness to be here today, and I also want to say that to your family. I think a lot of people miss the fact
the Republicans are so nice to him, the Democrats are so mean. Like,
that it's not just you, your family that goes through so much, and so we just want to say. That sacrifice is often overlooked, and we certainly appreciate your family being with you today and all of you and what you're willing to do here. I had a chance to get to know you over the years, and as many of my Republican colleagues have and other colleagues, and I think we would all say you are absolutely the right man for the job at the right time in our country's history, and I am excited about your leadership at the Fed. We have had an opportunity to talk about a number of issues, but I know that your integrity and that your commitment to the American people are going to help restore confidence at the Fed, and it will also ultimately serve our country incredibly well. So it's not going to be any easy task to return that confidence. We have spoken about needed reforms at the Fed on the monetary policy side and also the operational and internal standpoint as well. And of course, your calls for reform aren't baseless. You served at the Fed during one of the most challenging times. You just referenced it in your previous answer to a question from my colleague across the aisle. I believe you said there was a balance sheet, $800 billion, when you showed up in 2006. So talk to me a little bit, speak to me about that, about what you have seen during your time and tenure at the Fed already, and then what other life experiences you have that you will bring as you tackle this role.
Yeah, so Senator, great to see you again. So the chairman knows I worked with the senator when she was a staffer on this very committee, and I was a young staffer myself. So it's an honor to be here. And Senator, as you know, this is a serious responsibility. I'm honored the president nominated me for it. This is a time of consequence, not just for the country, but for the central bank.
Oh, this range is crazy,
folks. The central bank can
folks.
go back to first principles and improve itself.
Look at this.
I see most of the actions
That's
of the
an
Fed
hour
come
price
from
action.
Good intentions. But when you gave the
They're above the
Fed a
200.
remit, it wasn't a general roving remit to do what it thought was right. It was a particular remit to focus
that
on
would be the law
particular
right
issues
there.
and to not wander.
Otherwise.
And that's the trade-off on independence. Independence about the conduct of monetary policy, where we can hear criticisms from others in the economics profession, elected officials, and we should be open-minded to them. Listen, I think there's been a considerable amount of groupthink in the economics profession, and so being open-minded to it is important. But outside of monetary policy, it's important that the central bank work with the government on areas of overlap. And so I think that's likely to happen going forward. If you ask Senator Britt about my biggest lessons are about how a central bank should be acting in crisis times versus in normal times. In the crisis of 2008 and the pandemic of the crisis of 2020, that's when the Fed needs to take extraordinary measures. Going back to the founding of the Fed in 1913, it was created to respond to shocks. And so there, I think central bankers often should get the benefit of the doubt. When the world is racing away from it, the real economy is suffering fast, the central bank should show up with liquidity support. But the job of the central bank is to try to mitigate those risks in advance, to buy insurance so that we don't go from shock to shock, from boom to bust. And so my criticism is more about the conduct of monetary policy and regulatory policy in normal times. And that's the area that are in need of reform. We have a window where the economy is improving, but I would say more improvement is still possible. And it's during this policy that we need to look introspectively, look fundamentally at reform. So when there is another risk, there is another shock, the central bank is prepared to address it with less harm to the real economy.
Thank you so much. I am out of time. I look forward to your service to our nation, and I know that we will be in great hands.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Britt. Senator Kim.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Warsh, good to see you. I guess I just wanted
That
to
was funny.
start
You
off
gotta
by
admit.
talking about just the state of American families right now. Nearly 60% of people surveyed say that they're worried about affording the very basics, rent, gas, groceries, the bills. 60% of Americans say that they cannot handle a $1,000 emergency. 40% of Americans saying that they can't handle a
that's
$400
irresponsible.
Emergency.
That means you've been
I wanted to ask,
lazy.
do
Like,
you
I
agree
gotta be
that
honest,
The
like,
American families
come on, man.
are struggling right now with affordability.
Senator, as we discussed in your office, central bankers should not be second guessing what people feel and see in their own lives. People's lived experiences matter to them. What I can say is the central bank has some responsibility for the things that you've described, and that the legacy of inflation, what I think is the biggest economic policy error in 40 or 50 years, happened just a few years ago, and we're still living with the remnants of it. I think inflation is less problematic than it was a couple of years ago, but I would not.
But the
try to-
problem
I
of
would not try to
affordability
say-
continues, though. That sounds right, right?
I-
Because
I've got a lot of
I'll be
empathy
honest
for
with
that.
you, when I hear, I heard 2 months ago President Trump say, he said, quote, "What word have you not heard over the last 2 weeks? Affordability, because I've won. I've won affordability." It sounds like you would disagree with that assessment that the fight for affordability for American families is over.
So I think the trend is going in the right direction.
But we still have more work to do.
Well, the way I would describe it, Senator, is the cumulative increase in prices starting in early 2020 till now is between 25 and 35%. So I understand what hardworking Americans say. It's still a struggle. That's a legacy of a past policy error.
One thing that you talked about before is about, just the real cost that families are facing right now. And I appreciate that you were pushing back on that comment that the president had about calling the energy prices and the fuel price increases that we're having fake inflation, because right now Americans have paid more than $8.4 billion more in gas during the first month of this war. Fertilizer, 70% of respondents to the Farm Bureau survey said that fertilizer is unable to be afforded right now, just given the price increases. Are you concerned that there could be real long-term effects of this war in Iran, especially if we're continuing to see these challenges when it comes to fuel and fertilizer?
Senator, if my reform agenda, if confirmed, stands for anything, it's for the central bank, especially the Fed chairman, to stay in its lane.
I know that, but you also
I wouldn't want to wander outside of it. I'm happy.
But you're also charged with forecasting in terms of understanding where our economy is going. So does an impact of that magnitude rise to something that the Fed should keep an eye on and be concerned about?
The Fed should have an open mind towards all sorts of data, but the things that central banks can affect are things that are not one-off in nature, but are persistent and find their way into the generalized price level.
And that's something I wanted to ask you about, that because you talked about a fundamental policy change when it comes to the Fed, and I guess I wanted to just get a little bit more clarity on that. Senator Lummis mentioned about the balance sheet and the concern you have about that. What level do you think the balance should be at? If it's $6.7 trillion now, where do you think the goal is in your mind?
So I haven't fixed a particular number, but any changes, Senator, in the balance sheet would be part of a public discussion, debated rigorously. And if and when the central bank comes to a judgment about a new balance sheet policy, which I hope the central bank would, it would be described well in advance. As I mentioned, it took 18 years to create this balance sheet problem, and we won't be able to fix it in 18 minutes. And so that's why I think deliberation here is important. But it suffices to say it should be smaller, and at least as important, it should not be holding long-term treasury assets as if it's the fiscal authority. That's when it gets into politics.
I appreciate you saying that it's important to be able to have that public discussion. I mean, one thing that's come up as I've been engaged with different experts is concern about rapid reduction. If you are moving in that speed, that it could generate a number of concerns, including upward pressure on long-term interest rates. So I guess I just wanted to check, do you share that concern? As you are thinking about how to reduce it, do you also understand, though, that there are concerns about rapid reduction in the speed with which you're trying to go down?
Yes, Senator, and that kind of regime change would have to be deliberate, well orchestrated, well choreographed, and well described so that unnecessary upset are not done to financial markets as we go to a policy regime change much more focused on interest rates.
With that, I'll yield back.
Thank you, sir. Senator Ricketts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Warsh. It was great to see you in my office. Thanks for coming by. I want to continue to talk about inflation because it is something that is incredibly important. I think you share the view that inflation is a silent tax on American households. Is that accurate?
Senator, it's accurate. It's the most regressive tax that anyone in Washington could come up with. If you were trying to do the most harm to the least well-off among us, inflation would be the way to do it.
Among us.
Yeah, and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have been talking about that. And I note, at least I don't recall, that they ever talked about that during the Biden administration. Because it was during the Biden administration that we saw this record inflation, this 40-year-old high inflation. And yet my Democrat colleagues were silent about it back then. Now they want to talk about it. But of course, American households were hurting back then as well. Inflation was caused by President Biden's reckless policies and reckless spending. Let's look at ARPA, a partisan bill that was passed by the Democrats, which cost taxpayers $1.9 trillion. When ARPA was passed in March of 2021, inflation was at 2.6%. Inflation quickly accelerated. It was over 5% by May, June, and July. And by
shows how much you know.
December, it was 7%. Does federal government spending have anything to do with inflation, Mr. Warsh?
Senator, as we talked about in your office, my view of inflation is a bit different from some. I don't think inflation comes about when the economy grows too much or hardworking Americans get an increase in their wages. I think inflation comes about when the government prints too much, by which I mean the central bank, and broadly speaking, the government spends too much.
And so we're spending too much money, and now we've been cleaning up their mess ever since. I will also note the Republicans have been taking efforts to reduce the deficit. I think year to date it's down about 10.6% from where it was last year. And this is why it's so important we get our spending under control. I think you also talked about the balance sheet. And one of the things about the balance sheet is that I think if I hear you're saying it's too big, and it benefits people who have financial assets. But if you don't have financial assets, you haven't seen the benefit of a large balance sheet at the Fed. Is that accurate?
Senator, it's broadly accurate. When the large balance sheet was created in the 2008
Nice bounce back to the 200 here.
The agreement between my colleagues and I was that we would only use this in an emergency scenario, because the transmission mechanism for a large balance sheet goes
Looks like we're
going
gonna
to
bounce, folks.
Through signaling effects and through asset prices.
We might make a shoulder.
Now, at the time of the
shoulder
financial
head,
crisis, financial asset prices
I
were
wanna
down
see this
60 or
off the 200 though.
70%. And so it was understandable. Interest rates were at zero. But in the ordinary course, the central bank, an independent body, should not be adopting a set of policies that have that kind of distributional consequence. That's why interest rates are a better way to be setting monetary policy.
So if I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just what I hear you saying is let's reduce the size of the balance sheet because that benefits maybe half the American population. And then let's focus on interest rates and inflation so we can benefit all Americans. That if we take interest rates down, that benefits all Americans. You said it gets into the nooks and crannies. That if we get inflation under control, that is how we benefit all Americans. And the size of the balance sheet has only benefited some Americans. So what you're really about is trying to change a policy at the Fed that has really benefited under the last administration.
Only the rich people.
Who have lots of money. Actually, not just the last administration, the previous administrations. But you also want to make sure we get off of the inflation. I mean, during the Biden administration, we saw 4 years in a row of declining real wages for American households. And what you want to do is get that inflation under control so that all American households benefit. Is that fair?
That is fair. I'm going to paraphrase former Chairman Paul Volcker, where he said something along the following lines. You would need to have a PhD from an elite institution to believe that inflation doesn't have something to do with money.
Okay, great. Real briefly, I've only got a few seconds left here, but I'm going to switch topics on you real briefly.
So well, but
Chairman Powell and Secretary Bessent met with leaders of our largest banks recently to talk about advanced AI models like Mythos from Anthropic to identify banking vulnerabilities. It's apparently very good at finding those vulnerabilities. When confirmed, what will you do to modernize the Federal Reserve's internal risk assessments, tabletop or scenario planning exercises to ensure that we can anticipate and defend against the type of emerging risks that potentially models like Mythos could present if used in the wrong hands?
I have about 20 seconds to answer that.
20 seconds. Senator, a lot.
It's over.
Short answer. The 15-second answer beyond that is the pace of change in these technologies is accelerating.
This guy's way better to listen to than General
AI,
Powell,
which
I'll tell you
think
that.
of really is American ingenuity, gives America a huge head start relative to our competitors around the world, but it's not without real risks and real challenges, and a forward-looking, reform-oriented central bank needs to be on the front end of it.
Great. Thank you very much. I look forward to your leadership.
Amen.
Senator Gallego.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
How are you?
In a 2019 interview with Bloomberg, you said monetary policy is important not for decision it makes, but for reasons it gives for the explanations. Mr. Warsh, the Federal Open Market Committees, or that the Fed sets U.S. monetary policy through interest rate decisions at those meetings, do you commit to maintaining the current practice of holding a meeting at least once every 8 weeks, yes or no?
Senator, by statute, as we talked about in your office, I believe the statute requires a minimum of 4 meetings, but 4 is not enough. So having more meetings than that is appropriate. But I've not even begun to look at the meeting schedules for 2027 and beyond, of course, subject to confirmation.
Okay. So then do you commit to holding a press conference at least on the day of the FOMC meetings?
Senator, right now press conferences are held periodically. If you ask me my true personal opinion, right now Fed chairs and other central bankers around the FOMC, they speak quite frequently. There is no lack of transparency. But I would say this, I think truth-seeking is more important than repetition. And if one has a press conference, one wants to deliver some important news.
Perfect.
So
And
I
to
would
follow
wanna
up on
be-
that, then would you commit to taking questions at those press conferences?
If a press conference were held, I think it would be incumbent to hear what the reporters of the day had in mind.
Thank you. I'm glad, our personal meeting regarding this was very enlightening. Earlier today, you said to Senator Kennedy that President Trump never demanded you to cut interest rates in your job interview. Is that your sworn testimony?
That is, Senator.
Okay. Well, someone here is lying then, because it's either you or President Trump. Because in an interview with the Wall Street Journal of December 12th, President Trump confirmed that he pressed you on your commitment to support interest rates cuts. And I quote, during a 45-minute meeting with Warsh on Wednesday at the White House, the president pressed Warsh on whether he could trust him to support interest rate cuts if he were chosen to lead the central bank. According to people familiar with the meeting, Trump in the general interview confirmed that, repeating, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter
Can this
for
guy
the
talk?
record,
Like,
the Wall
this
Street
guy's a
Journal
problem
article,
talking,
December
like-
12th, Trump says he's leaning towards
Like,
Warsh.
how do you
but has
get-
it to
he's
lead
so
the Fed.
nervous, like-
So, this brings up an issue of credibility at this point. Who's lying here? Is it you or the president? Because the president confirmed that he did ask you to cut interest rates.
Senator, there's of course a third alternative. You cite a couple of reporters for a leading financial newspaper. I recall reading that story at the time.
Did you issue a correction?
I think those reporters either need better sources or better journalist standards.
Did you ask for a correction?
There are things in the newspaper, Senator, I see all the time that don't strike my ear as correct.
So it is in your opinion that the president then is lying when he said he did not ask you?
I can only repeat to you, Senator, what I said to several of your colleagues.
So you did not. You right now, are under sworn testimony, are saying just to right now that
What a
the
weirdo.
president of the United States.
It's like, I'm trying to catch him in a lie.
Did not ask you to.
What does that do for us as the American people?
Never asked me to commit to interest rate cuts at any particular meeting over the period of my tenure at the Fed. He didn't ask for it. He didn't demand it. He didn't require it, and nor would I have ever done so.
So if these reporters come back and decide to do another follow-up on this and they confirm what they heard, what will your response be?
Well, my response would be what I suggested to you a few moments ago. As I read that story in real time, I remember thinking they either need better journalistic standards or better sources.
So, here's my problem, Mr. Chair and colleagues. And Mr. Warsh, I think you're incredibly qualified. A lot of us are actually worried about the integrity of the Federal Reserve. We're worried about what this means for the economic markets, and we're worried
People
about
who
what this
worry,
means for
worry
inflation.
is the worst word in the
We're
English
worried about
language.
your independence.
It's weakness.
And now we're hearing direct contradictions. Whether
It
or
shows
not
small-mindedness
you're
when you
directly
worry.
asked by
I'm being
the
honest.
President to cut interest rates, and you're saying no, and he's saying yes. And I think for a lot of us, there's a question now of credibility. And I think there's a real reason why many of us are not voting no. As a matter of fact, until you verbally spoke to Mr. Kennedy and answered his question that he did not ask, the president did not ask you to cut interest rates, this was not even going to be brought up. So there's definitely right now a true question about who is lying here. It's either you or it's the president. I yield back.
Wow, you did such a good job,
Senator,
bro.
if I might
Hope you're proud of
respond.
yourself. You did amazing for your constituents.
I take my responsibility
Good for
to be
you.
an independent leader of the Federal
Like,
Reserve
do your job,
very
man.
seriously, if confirmed by this body. I take the integrity of the office and my personal integrity very seriously. And I stand by every word I said. The president never asked me to commit to any such thing, nor would I ever do so.
Mr. Banks. No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Warsh, congrats on your nomination. As we spoke about during our meeting in my office, I strongly support your nomination and look forward to voting for you to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve, and it can't happen soon enough. One policy area that we strongly
Banks.
agree on is the threat that China poses to America's economy. In fact, you've written publicly that China is deliberately positioning its financial system to rival U.S. leadership and actively working to elevate its currency on the global stage. Can you talk for a minute about how the Federal Reserve reinforces the strength of the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency in the face of that challenge?
Sure. Senator, it's great to see you again. We talked about some of these issues of the G2 rivalry, the rivalry between the U.S. and China in your office. If confirmed...
The difference between worried and concerned, I'm going to do a whole show on it on my other channel. It's going to be called Why I Don't Use the Word Worry. Because, and I'll explain it, because when you worry about something, you do nothing about it. So if there's a problem in your life and you can change it, then work towards changing it, right? My car's not doing well. I'm worried about my car. It's not doing well. Okay, reframe that. I'm concerned about my car. So what do you got to do? Well, I got to get it checked out. I got to find out what's going on. I got to make an appointment. I got to find the place. Now you're proactive. Now, what if you can't do anything about it? It's in an area where you can't reach it. I don't know. You know what I mean? And you worry about it. If you can't do anything about it, what does worrying do? So either you can do something about your problems or you can't. Worrying has no place in life. Like I sat there one day and realized you could be concerned. So whenever I go to use the word, I say I'm concerned. Because every time you use the word worry, what you're doing is saying that I'm not going to do anything about it, but I'm going to sit inside my mind and think about it negatively for the next 5 hours. Worry is a concept created to keep you in a mental state. It really was. Like someone created the word and they knew you were going to keep using it. Then your mom and dad were going to use it with you, your sisters, your brother, everyone in your family. And then you were going to grow up at 20 years old and start saying, I'm worried. Oh, I'm worried about my job. I'm worried about my life. If you believe in God, if you put in the right motions and you set things into place, what the heck are you worried for?
As chairman of the Federal Reserve, improves from here even further, where real take-home pay moves up, where inflation falls, and the U.S. economic growth potential is the best in the world. I mentioned earlier, Senator, something that I really do believe. AI is a testament to American ingenuity. The United States is the best positioned country in the world to take advantage of it so that the U.S. economy, U.S. workers benefit from it. That the U.S. is in a better position than anyone else, but it's filled with challenges, geopolitical challenges, technology challenges. So the sooner that we can hit the ground running on reform agenda, the better.
You wrote in an op-ed in 2021 in the Wall Street Journal that I recommend everyone reads. It's one of the reasons that I wholeheartedly support you because of it says a lot about you in this op-ed. But you talked about how the PRC is actively promoting its digital yuan currency with the explicit goal of creating an alternative payment system that sidesteps U.S. sanctions. You've been very clear that China's not playing by the rules.
Oil looks like it's going to pump.
China is buying over 80% of Iran's sanctioned oil in Chinese currency through Chinese banks, completely outside SWIFT. The Iranian government says it is charging ships to transit the Strait of Hormuz and collects payments via crypto and Chinese currency. What tools does the Federal Reserve have to defend the dollar's role as countries route payments through the Chinese financial systems to do business with Iran and other adversaries?
Yeah, Senator, thank you. As we talked about before, monetary policy is independent. But outside of monetary policy, the Federal Reserve can be working hand in hand with the rest of the government. The Federal Reserve is independent inside of government, not independent of government. What the U.S. can do with respect to the dollar is have a more robust payment system. The Fed has a number of payment systems that most financial participants in the world use. I would say they all are in need of substantial reform. There's a system called Fed Now, which some describe as Fed Yesterday. There's a series of new technologies that the Fed needs to oversee and needs to architect so that the payment system in the U.S. is the safest, most efficient, most capable in the world. Otherwise, we'll be losing to adversaries around the world in being the linchpin of the global economy.
Thank you. Your leadership is so important, and it's important right now. We need you on the job right now, not later, right now. So I look forward to voting for you quickly and seeing you confirmed and getting you on the job. With that, I yield back.
Thank you, sir. Senator Blunt Rochester.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Ranking Member Warren. Also, thank you, Mr. Warsh, for taking the time also to meet with me earlier this week.
He did. Look how he took so much of his time. He had to meet with all of those
concerns
people.
Of different
Amazing.
committee members about us kind of putting the cart before the horse. And in one regard, it is the whole issue of independence of the Fed. And I know you have made commitment watching the president try to fire Chairman Powell as well as Governor Lisa Cook. It really raises a lot of red flags for us. Even Justice Kavanaugh said that no president has fired a sitting governor in the 112-year history of the Fed, which was structured to be independent of day-to-day politics, and that it would weaken, if not shatter, the independence of the Federal Reserve. There are a lot of questions here today as well about both ethics and whether or not all the paperwork is in, and even Senator Warren's question about, selling of the assets and whether they would be transparent is something that's important, again, to ensure confidence. And so I shared some of those concerns with you in person when we met, and I share them here for the record. I did have a question. I want to focus on AI, but I did have a question beforehand that I wanted to clarify. You mentioned your desire for reform as well as regime change at the Fed. Could you just clarify, you didn't mean removing the regional bank presidents whose 5-year terms were just restated and re-upped in December?
Senator, I meant policy regime change.
Got it. So for the record, we're not looking at regime change for those 12 board presidents. I want to jump to AI because it's probably one of the #1 issues that I hear about in my state. I'm former Secretary of Labor in Delaware. This is something that I asked Chair Powell when he was here as well about. A lot has happened in a year. And one of the things you have characterized this as the most productivity enhancing wave of our lifetimes, past, present, and future. You have described it as structurally disinflationary, and that central bankers must make a bet. I'm in the camp with Senator Kennedy. I'm concerned about us making a bet on something that we know. You've said it, Chairman Powell said it. We don't have the data to even understand yet. And so my first question is, what happens for policy if that surge doesn't materialize as expected?
Yeah. So, Senator, I enjoyed our discussion. I think the essential elements of a new policy for the Federal Reserve is to get access to better data and to dig deeper into the productivity possibilities that can come out of this new investment wave. Today we call it artificial intelligence.
Not how you do it, just so you know, everyone. That's not how you do it.
2 years from now, we're going to call it business CapEx, and 3 years from now, we're going to call it just ordinary business. I think it has two important effects on the conduct of policy. I don't claim to have perfect knowledge of how any of these are going to go, but I do have an intuition the pace of change is accelerating. I'm sorry, Senator, go ahead.
I was just going to ask how much of your view on interest rates depends on those productivity gains showing up quickly.
Yeah, so I think it has two elements. One is the increase in capital expenditures to build data centers and the rest. That will have an effect on demand. That will increase demand. My guess is a few tenths of 1%. But on the supply side of the economy, to increase the potential output of the economy, that could be considerably bigger. We don't know that. We can't bank on that. But considerable work needs to be done by the Federal Reserve in evaluating this productivity wave. As I said before, monetary policy works with long and variable lags. So you have to make some informed judgments. And unlike other people in office, if the judgments are wrong, you've got to call the flag on yourself and correct them.
Well, I think there's been a lot of conversation here about concerns that in your record, in your history, you have been hawkish on inflation rates and keeping them low. And now we're looking at AI. What I don't want to see is us use AI as an excuse.
Yes.
For making good policy. Too much depends on it. Too many families' lives depend on it. And in our conversation, I also talked about the fact that I know Wall Street is going to be okay, but who we're concerned about as well is Main Street. Yeah. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kramer, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Warsh, for being here. Thanks for stepping in the gap.
Thank you.
In fact, I'm a little bit curious as to why you even want to do this. I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, congratulations on the choice. By the way, with regard to independence, real quickly, I find it curious. in fact, I've often found curious that people expect somebody who's appointed by an elected official has to be confirmed by 100 other elected officials would somehow not have a philosophy. That's what I hear sometimes. Like, why don't we, speaking of AI, we should just have an AI Fed chairman. That way it'd be completely neutral, right? Other than the people that put all the information in the algorithms. Anyway, that said, I think we should not forget that it would be common for a president who believes that interest rates should be lower to want to nominate somebody who has expressed that maybe interest rates could be a little lower, as opposed to the quid pro quo that's being accused of today. So I'm just grateful you're willing to do it. By the way, the other thing about independence that strikes me with regard to the Fed, do you have any idea how often an interest rate decision by the Fed is a 12-0 or a 10-0 vote? Do you have a sense of it?
I do, Senator. I'd say over the last 15 years, decisions have been unanimous or near unanimous. As I said to one of your colleagues earlier, I prefer clean memos and messier meetings, and there's nothing wrong with a divergence of opinion. These are very hard calls.
Thank you. I don't know when diversity became a bad thing in a room of thinkers, particularly with staggered terms. The other thing, none of this was in my mind that long ago, but the other thing that strikes me is you do have a lot of experience. This is your 20th anniversary, or at least your second anniversary. Have your thoughts changed much or evolved over those 20 years of experience in various areas, not to mention your research and your intellectual and academic writings? I mean, have you evolved a little bit?
Absolutely. I'll make 3 points if I can. One is it is essential for the chair of this organization to be open-minded to new ideas. The world is moving fast.
Yep.
The mistake that's common in the economics profession, which Secretary Schultz once described to me when I was telling him that I was thinking about pursuing further studies, he said, it's fine to get a PhD, but make sure that's not the last day you were learning. Too many people in the profession go back to what they learned 30 or 40 years ago. We've got to be open-minded. The world's changing and the facts are changing. To the characterization I heard from some of your colleagues about did my opinions change, my opinions change when the facts change. When interest rates are at zero and the balance sheet is growing and the economy is booming, well, relative to that, I will say I sounded hawkish. In 2018, when the Federal Reserve pushed to raise rates into a financial market meltdown and economic weakening, I said that was a mistake. That was dovish. I expect to have a divergence of views based on the facts on the ground. And if I could just answer one other question you asked about why I want to do this job. I would say I've lived the American dream. I've been the luckiest, most blessed, fortunate person with the greatest teachers. I was a kid from upstate New York in public schools, and I had an opportunity to serve after 9/11. I was walking with a friend of mine who happens to be in this room away from a building near the site of the tragedy. I was walking up Fifth Avenue, and I thought to myself, what am I doing? And so I committed myself to public service then. I did 10 and a half years of public service. I've been grateful for 15 years in the private sector where I've been able to practice my discipline, think anew about things, and the call to service struck again. I'm honored to serve if this body will confirm me.
Excellent. I do find it curious that so many people seem to be hung up on the fact that you've been successful even while doing in between bouts of public service, probably a better way to put it. I'm not wealthy, never have been wealthy, and I'm not sure I have much potential to be wealthy, but I have nothing against people who are. That said, real quickly, I do want to talk a little bit about debanking.
What a way to talk highly about yourself.
A whole lot, but
it's like a farmer.
Institutions that are
I'll never grow a good crop. My crops will never be full. Wow, she looks like she's going to... Ooh. My crops will never be full. I'm never going to have a full crop. I always have little crops, It's like people talk about finances, but like, why would you ever talk about a crop like that? Like would you start a farm and say, you know what, I hope that farm never really grows a lot of fruit. I hope it only grows a little bit of fruit. No, you'd want it to grow far into the biggest fruition of possible. Same with your finances, man.
I lean hard yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Senator Brooks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Warsh. and thank you for meeting with me last week. In August of 2025, President Trump tried to fire Fed Governor
I'm
Lisa
Brooks.
Cook
I'm also
for
Brooks.
unsubstantiated allegations widely believed to be politically motivated. Thankfully, both a federal district court and the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor of Governor Cook, preventing her from being fired while the investigation proceeds. This is a landmark test for independence. Now, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh said allowing Cook's firing to go forward would weaken, if not shatter, the independence of the Federal Reserve. So I would like to ask you, will you commit to defending Governor Cook's tenure as Chairman Powell has done?
Senator, it was a pleasure to meet you in your office and spend time with you. As I said to you then, I'll repeat here to the broader committee. If I stand for anything, it's the Fed should stay in its lane. As I understand that matter, it's pending before the United States Supreme Court. I think it's inappropriate for me to weigh in on that, especially because in the event that I am confirmed, I could be a party to that matter.
Well, I disagree with Mr. Warsh. I disagree with you. This is your future colleague who was confirmed by both this committee and this Senate to serve her country. Chairman Powell has defended her tenure, and your answer to this is you will not defend her. Is that correct?
No, Senator, that's not my answer. My answer is there's a pending case before the Supreme Court, the results of which I think we're going to hear about soon. If confirmed by this body, I will follow the Constitution, the Supreme Court law, and the best of the Fed's tradition.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you agree or disagree with Justice Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, who said that her firing would weaken, if not shatter, the Fed's independence? Do you agree with Justice Kavanaugh?
So I took a constitutional law class, but I wouldn't say I'm worthy of being a Supreme Court justice. What I can say is Fed
He's so
independence
savvy, man.
means everything to me.
And
that's exactly what I would try to do if I'm confirmed.
Well, I'd like to move on to the criminal investigation of Chairman Powell. The Trump administration
Waste of time.
could have taken many off-ramps
Nothing to do with him,
what
man.
is a ridiculous exercise. Instead,
Nothing
they
to
have
do with
doubled down. U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, sent prosecutors to the Fed last week to continue this circus, and they were turned away. Chairman Powell has said that the administration's investigation is not about any testimony or the renovations of a building, calling these arguments pretext, and he said that the threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on its best assessment of what will serve the public rather than
Here we go,
following the
man. Can this
preferences of
long
the
play out for
president.
me now?
So do you dispute Chairman Powell's assertion that the investigations are pretext for policy disagreements?
Senator, as I said with respect to the other case, this is also pending before the courts. I have a ton of confidence in the court's ability to make a final resolution. I'd abide by any judgment of the courts and would follow that judgment and the best of the Fed's
It's
traditions.
difficult. Let me just ask you another question instead. Just a few days ago, bless his heart, President Trump called Chairman Powell a stubborn, incompetent person who he said suffers from Trump derangement syndrome.
100%.
Now, can you say
Anyone could
for
see
this
that.
committee
Like,
that
it was
you
obvious.
disagree with this characterization?
The way he acted.
My disagreements with Chairman Powell are about policy, not about personality or personnel.
Okay, let me ask you another question about the
I didn't know he
president.
was
Now,
that adamant
my
about
colleague a
Powell.
moment
I thought
ago
him and Powell were
said
like,
to you that
this
the
is really,
president-
this was a
you
great,
said the
for me to
president
learn. This
never
was a really
asked you
good
about
session here.
lowering interest rates, and you said he never specifically, is the word you used, demanded that you decrease interest rates. Well, did the president generally suggest this to you as well?
You know, in my recitation to your colleagues, I wasn't trying to be clever. The president never generally or specifically instructed me, suggested I should commit to any interest rate path whatsoever.
Okay, let me go to another point. So if the Senate does not confirm you by May 15th, the president may inject more financial chaos into our economy by illegally attempting to remove Chairman Powell and installing someone else until your confirmation. Now, the law is quite clear here. If there is a
Like to see that
vacancy,
break
the
out.
current chairman
Should break out.
continues to serve as chair pro tem until the Senate confirms a replacement. But the Trump administration is gearing up to fight this assertion. And I expect every financial leader and reporter is watching your words right now, which can move markets. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to reassure them. Do you agree that the law requires the current Fed chair to continue serving as interim chair while this replacement is confirmed?
So I haven't been advised on that. I will say this. I was a summer associate for 8 weeks at a law firm, and that was the extent of my legal career. I'm certainly not capable of defining whether the Vacancy Act applies to
He's
the Federal
so
Reserve or
awesome,
not.
man.
Thank you.
He plays them so well. Like, he's like, yo, I can't.
Marino.
She's
Mr.
like,
Chairman,
I got
thank
no
you for the honor of
question.
going last. I know that's normally reserved for people with much more status than I have, so I appreciate that very much.
Oh, I got to go now. I'm out. I'm out. I did my thing.
Mr. Chairman,
I don't want to hear
read
anything
something here for a
else.
second.
I'm
Mr.
not really
Chairman,
here to
it's
learn
clear
from my
that Mr.
constituents. I'm here to
Walsh
just
is
speak real quick and
tremendously
bounce.
accomplished. He is committed to strong capital standards, effective supervision, and meaningful market discipline. He knows unequivocally that the Fed must be independent, not ideological, and nonpartisan.
Looks like a head and shoulder,
for this
man.
reason, I am proud to support his nomination. I wish I had said those words, but those are the words of Senator Chuck Schumer when he voted to confirm you, in fact, introduced you. So I would like to enter that into the record. As they say, there's nothing wrong with that, but it looks like Democrats used to love you at one point. What changed?
The Senator, I don't know.
You didn't catch the Seinfeld reference, so it's just proof that you did not watch the show. All right. Let me ask you some quick rapid-fire questions. I know people have enjoyed being here this long, but maybe not others. A lot has been said, and I think it's important, on the plight of working
These women look like
Americans when it comes
handlers.
to
Look at the
being
way
able
they're
to afford
staring
the
at.
basic
Like, this is
elements of
weird.
what it
Look,
means
look
to
at.
be somebody here who's successful in the working class.
I don't want to put anyone down.
Are
Maybe she's a
working class
lovely person, but
Americans
they
better
just
off or worse off
something
than they
weird
were
right
3
there,
years ago?
right?
The aggregate statistics show improvement.
I don't know. That's weird.
But I want to.
I get a really strange vibe there. I can't explain it.
With better Fed policy,
Gives me the
I think
heebie-jeebies,
improvement
man.
Can be stronger.
No, clearly. But we're not done, and we have a long way to go.
Look at
But
this.
If you're
Just look at
somebody
the way
who's an
she's staring at
average
this guy.
working American today,
It's almost like she
in
wants some.
2026,
I don't know. I can't
you're
explain.
better
it.
off than you were 3 years ago, because 3 years ago, you were getting demolished by generationally high inflation. Is that true?
The trajectory on inflation is improving, but there's more work to do.
And one of the key parts of why I'm supporting you is because a total and complete focus and understanding that the interest rate tool is the tool that allows you to help working Americans much more than the balance sheet tool. Would you agree?
Yes, Senator, I do.
All right, perfect. Let's move on to central bank
We're in
digital
some serious
currencies.
chop
Do you
here,
agree
folks,
that
on the 1
Federal
minute.
Reserve has no legal
You can tell why
right
I'm
to
short and
issue
long.
a central bank digital currency.
Senator, I agree that they don't have the right, and I think it would be a bad policy choice.
Somebody just put an exclamation mark on that. Under your chairmanship of the Federal Reserve, you will not have the Federal Reserve explore or any way move towards a central bank digital currency.
Maybe they're just interns and they're bored. You know what I mean? I'm always open-minded.
I agree with that statement.
Perfect. Let's shift over to AI. A lot has been said about that, and I worry that some of my colleagues don't feel that
Worry
this
is a nothing burger. Worry doesn't do anything.
as
It means
it
he's
is.
sitting
It
there
is
thinking about
happening
something he can't do anything about.
Insanely fast. In fact, would you agree?
I'm
that it could lead
concerned. You
an
want to change the word
employment
worry to
shock,
concerned.
especially for
I'm
entry-level
concerned.
white-collar jobs?
It was all about the 50-minute 200
Senator,
today,
I
folks.
agree with you on the pace of the technology revolution. I've had to update my own priors versus 6 or 12 months ago as I've seen
There we
the
go.
rate of improvement of the models. Senator, the way I describe it is this. I am
Send it.
more confident
That should pump.
that there will be improved output than I am certain about when the effects of that would be on the labor market. I basically believe in the following good economic tenet, which is described as the lump of labor fallacy. And we tend to think in economics, there's only a fixed number of jobs, and we've got to fill them every day possible. The labor force, the structure of the labor market changes. The jobs that will be created 2 or 3 years from now, some of which are unimaginable to us today. But the lag between the improvement in output and the effect on the labor markets, that's got to be central to the Fed's thinking, given the pace of innovation in this cycle.
And this concept of price stability plus maximum employment.
Keep getting rejected
that
by
maximum
76K.
employment piece is problematic when policymakers open our borders and let tens of millions of people come into this country illegally. Is that not correct?
I'm gonna let you guys handle immigration policy. I'm gonna have plenty on my plate if
adding
confirmed.
10 to 20, 30 million people into the country when you're trying to make certain that everybody here has a job is
in Florida, they stopped heavy immigration, and my wife's friend is, she's living poverty, and she has 2 kids, and she's barely getting by. We help her a lot, and she struggles, and her rent was really high because there was so much immigration that the rent was high because you could rent to everyone. When they cut off the immigration and ICE came into the neighborhood and cleaned it up, her rent went down. Because finally it wasn't as competitive and she could live again. Like regular Americans were immigration wasn't making it, illegal immigration was not helping poor people, man. It was making it worse. Like that's a personal story that I know, and she was so grateful that rents had gone down because it was getting harder and harder for her to live.
Problematic, correct?
Yeah, the central bank takes the labor market.
And there's the strategy,
and that's a function
the 21
of
above the 200, and you get the pump to the upside. It should flip us green soon.
On that.
Okay. And let me just add one last thing and more to your wife. How did you get so lucky to have a guy that's so romantic that on Valentine's Day of 2006, he brings you to a Senate hearing? I mean, you set a high bar for all of us. Look, I'm going to ruin the suspense for everybody. You're going to be confirmed. You're going to be the Federal Reserve Chairman. And most importantly, you're going to do an incredible job. And I'm honored to be able to have been part of that process, and we'll vote for you resoundingly.
Thank you, Senator.
Nice pump for Bitcoin to the first target there at 76,100.
Portion of today's hearing. I'd like to thank our nominee for testifying before the committee today, and thank you for your willingness to serve our country. For senators, all follow-on questions for the record must be submitted by tomorrow, April 22nd at noon. And for you, the witness, please respond by Thursday, April 23rd, 1 p.m., to the written questions you receive in order to facilitate this committee promptly processing this nomination when it comes. With that, this hearing is adjourned.
Thank you.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. We did it, guys. We made it through. Now let's kind of break it down and see kind of what happened. We're going to look at Bitcoin. We're going to look at the overall thing. I got to finish my top-down analysis. I never got to finish it. So let's just start fresh again with the top-down. Let's get the music back up and running. I got to do what I have to do. Every day I have to do a top-down. It's an OCD thing for me or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. But I got to do it. All right. We want to make sure this right shoulder is defined. We want to make sure we get this move up. You really want to close a 1-hour candle above 76,757 for confirmation that we're not going to roll over. All right. Shout out to all the beautiful people here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. I'll play one of my favorite songs. Why not? I love this. I don't drink. I don't want to drink. Don't. Go sleep. Go sleep. All right. Here we are. Bitcoin, the crypto lifer, Sam Price. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Shout out to the thousands of people that came in today. Appreciate that. One of the biggest live streams in the game and all of crypto and trading. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for the belt, man. I got the belt 3 years in a row. Can I continue to get the belt? I think they may retire me this year after winning Best Technical Analyst 3 years in a row here at Vegas at Mike Tyson's mansion. Gonna have a crazy party. It's gonna be awesome. I hope to see you there. Dude, you're gonna miss Mike Tyson's mansion. You're gonna miss me receiving my influencer Hall of Fame award. Are you really gonna miss that? At the Mike Tyson mansion in Las Vegas? Or are you just gonna say, oh, I wish I could have been there? You still have time. Hit the pass and pay. Jump on in, Lifer code to go to Bitcoin Las Vegas, man. I can't wait to see you guys there. All right? We're going to have a blast, man. All right? I might even have a hotel room with a couch you could crash on, man. We got you. Just come on in. We'll find a way. We love you guys. Show up to Bitcoin Vegas. Let's take over as the Lifers. It would be amazing. Bitcoin hit first rejection there at 76,150. A lot of up and down price action. Let's finish our top down. So I talked about the monthly breaking out. However, the monthly could still make a right shoulder, could it not? And could still dump somewhere down to this area, 27,000, 38, anywhere in here. Really, you could see it come to that area, $45,000 Bitcoin. So we could still see it. We could even bump for 2, 6, 7 months and then still dump. You get it? You got to be open-minded that it's not going to go the way you think it is exactly, and that anything is possible, all right? That anything is possible. Very important that you're taking it either way, all right? So there we have it. Now let's take a look here at the 2-week chart for Bitcoin. 2-week chart, as I said, has broken out. A lot of people haven't talked about this. They're making weird trend lines like they don't know how to make If you're not a pattern trader, you're not good at making trends. If you're not good at making trends, you're not going to know when we actually break a trend. You're going to be like, oh, I think it's here, I think it's there, because you're not consistent with your patterns. I'm consistent with patterns. They got to hit the edge of the candle. They have to, or they're not real. And so to me, this is a breakout cleanly on the 2-week chart. And then here we are with the weekly, which looks like it could close green again. I mean, 4 weeks in a row. That's beautiful. And you can see the POC right there that we bounced off of, the point of control. And that beautiful W right here for Bitcoin, right? A beautiful W. We bounce off the key level. You rip up back to here. You go to 87,250 for BTC. That's where you're going, man. That's the measured move is about 87. You could say a little earlier. And we clearly have resistance in 78,000 because that's where the previous tweezer bottom was. We got to close a candle above that on the weekly. If we do that, we could get a move, folks. We can get a move. Bitcoin bouncing back off the 200 here. It's a treacherous day to trade. It's really up and down. It's not easy. You got to just stick to what you said you were going to do and stay positive. Otherwise, you are going to struggle today, no matter what. Oil does look like it's about to break out of that inverted head and shoulder for whatever reason. Maybe Bitcoin and oil pump today together. You never know. They don't have to dump. They don't have to be completely inverse every time. They, normally, but not every time. You can get caught off guard one day when they both pump at the same time. So here's the deal. All we need to make sure is the weekly does not close back below 76,000, which is this tweezer top. As long as we stay above 76,000 on the weekly, you have to assume that we're going higher. And we're already through the gap here. I see us headed up to 87,000. Only I'm at a time. I called that cup and handle. Remember on the daily, I went over it so much over and over again. And I retweet it too almost every time. But I mean, and that thing ripped to the past, almost to the first target there as suggested it would. And I even said, I've never seen the fear and equality. I've been buying spot here. You do what you feel. Are you buying Bitcoin? And that was like one of the last huge buys. And I bought $5,000 of it yesterday. I bought more Bitcoin today. So I continue to buy Bitcoin. And I honestly, a lot of these subscribers, YouTube guys, they say they buy. I've never seen them buy the thing. They're like, oh, I got Bitcoin. I stashed Bitcoin. They never make a live buy. I've never seen it. I bought live Bitcoins, whole Bitcoins. You guys see me, hundreds of thousands of dollars I've poured into Bitcoin because I'm not afraid to show you what I'm doing. I'm not afraid to be wrong because I believe and have conviction in what I do, right? So, I mean, this thing is continuing. Look, 36,000 views and counting, continues to do damage. Very, very interesting. This guy, I can't take him seriously anymore after he rug pulled Nasdaq. I don't want to say it. He was nice to me, whatever, but he clearly rug pulled Nasdaq. It's a fact. It's not even a joke. He deleted a bunch of tweets. Like, this is a fact, folks. Really not what we want to see here and out here. You know what I mean? Right. Anyway. Also very anti-American, say we're going down the tubes. I don't like anyone that says that. Well, have your own I beliefs, but man, always messing with me, man. Shout out to Metamona out there. Check her out. She's got a really good channel. Always doing something interesting in the space too. Interviews some big players. GME, dude, oil is starting to pump, man, out this inverted head and shoulder. I tell you, man, oil might go on a tear today. Oil says, inverted head and shoulders break up 68% of the time. Oil says it's going to rip. It says it's going to rip. And the trades are really nil today. The longs down 70, the shorts down 30, oil's up 36. It's like, you know what I'm saying? And there is my tweet about Kevin Warsh jumping into the banking committee. Not one comment. Only got 500 views. I find that really strange. Like, I'll say one thing about something nil. It's like, the algorithm just decides when it wants to send money. It's really weird. I'll say, look, the other day, that's funny, man. Look at Peter Schiff. Don't make the mistake of thinking buying Bitcoin below 3,800 is a bargain just because the current price is better than 80% below its record high. It could easily drop another to 750. It'll still be expensive. This guy, remember, he's been saying the same stuff he's been saying for years, folks. For years. He's on a record playbook, right? Look at is change in price such as no one talks about it. Most at the Fed define price stability as prices that rise by 2% per year. Both definitions ignore the plain meaning of stable prices that rise every year are not stable. He has a point, but yeah, it's semantics, right? It's true. America was founded by rugged individuals who created government to secure their rights and leave them alone. Americans today want government to violate other people's rights, steal their stuff, and give it to them. Home of the free has become the land of the freeloader. It's a bit, yeah, he's 100%. 100%. 100%, man. And honestly, every time it looks bullish, it starts to struggle here. Let's finish my top down so I can get down to brass tacks. So the weekly looks good. The bigger time frames look good. Yes, technically we're right at resistance. We wicked right to 78,880. We wicked right there. 79K, almost 78.5, and we couldn't get back above it. So to be bullish, we have to close a weekly candle above 78.5. To be bearish, we have to close a candle below 73,000, right? So to me, we're in a range right now where they're going to see how many people are bullish or bearish, and when they get enough people on either side, they're going to flush them. That's what's likely going to happen. The 5-day above the 200 moving average, I told you how important that is. We've gone over that every single day here on the channel without fail. The last time that happened was a massive rally. Again, it's a small indication. I'm not going to say it's going to happen for sure, but it's definitely, if this thing's up here 3 weeks from now, you're going to be like, man, we did go over this. Like, we did see a signal that has played out in the past, right? 3-day chart looks beautiful. It's above the previous high. As long as the 3-day stays above 74.8, I have to remain a bull. Like, you know what I'm saying? And here we are on the daily. Remember, I started drawing this out for you, and this is all I wanted. I just wanted us to have a little bit of a punch back to the top of the channel. I just wanted the daily to consolidate for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, catch the 21 inside the flag, and get the massive pump to the upside to 91,000, which is the target. This is going to be the bigger trade that I make. And again, you only have to make like 5 to 10 big trades a year to really get a payday here. And this could be the big one. This could be the one where I go extra hard because I'm going to have support and resistance in my favor here and here. I'm going to have the 21-day moving average, the pump up to the 200, and all the things that I go for. Again, I'm still open-minded. What if this starts to dump and we start headed down here before that and we never get to consolidate sideways? Then I know it's not worth it. 15 minutes still holding the 200 moving average, folks. This was the key today. If the 15-minute could hold that 200. And so far it did, but it's struggling. It is struggling. And if you're in a short or a long right now, even though you're just sideways, you're just kind of watching your price go fluctuate either way. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of like, you're just waiting on whatever happens. So that's kind of where we sit for BTC. All right, so watching this tight price action on the daily, can we continue higher? We may. We very well may. Shout out to anyone jumping on in. Shout out to the 900 beautiful souls and counting. Hit the like button, everyone. We have 583 likes. Let's get the likes up to the watchers. I would greatly appreciate it. All right. Yeah, exactly. Can't the tread on the Twitter. It's all Trump fault. Yeah, JD Vance, Steve Wilkoff, and Jared Kushner were all supposed to be in Pakistan for our Iranian peace talks, but are still in the United States. Yeah. U.S. oil about to hit the 200 on the 4-hour time frame. I don't know if it's about to hit. That's going to take some time. That could take 8 hours. When someone says about to hit, that's like in the minute or two. But yes, it looks like it could travel pretty nicely to the upside. So Bitcoin looks good to me. I expect the pullback back to the bottom of the channel, though, because I want to see I want to see this go into some nice consolidation. So I expect this to come up maybe a little more and then head back down to the bottom of the channel. That's what I'm looking for. Only thing is the 4-hour may, this is where I'm like, I'm not a psychic, folks. I'm just a guy that attempts to figure it out every day using the same methods that I use all the time. I mean, that's going to be a tight symmetrical triangle, right? That may break out further. And so, Sam, if you project the daily and then you see the 4-hour, which one do you take? You take whichever one speaks to you at the present moment, right? And you could say, that's clearly a trend line here. And again, if this breaks down, it's part of the bigger channel on the daily. You see? If this ends up getting tight and breaking out. But it looks pretty bullish to me. How the moving averages are getting tight. How the 4-hour has multiple higher lows in a row. I even believe there was a bit of a hidden bullish divergence here. Yeah, that goes up. And honestly, you could kind of call that a hidden bullish, but you'd be skipping this divergence here. But yeah, it still to me is a slight hidden bullish because it's flat and that's downward. So yeah, there's some hidden bullish divergence there. It says you're going to break this high before you break these lows. It's there on the 4-hour time frame, clear as day. So Wow, we just hugged the 200 on the 1 minute too in such a strange way. Very strange. But that 4 hour looks good. If that can consolidate tighter for the next 6 to 8, even 14, 12 hours, I mean, you got to think there's going to be a push to the upside there. Same thing with this 1 hour. The 1 hour to me looks like it's in a bit of a bull. It's actually a symmetrical triangle. It's a chubby triangle. It could go either way. I expect this to just get tight. Thing is, what if it makes a right shoulder there, you see? And then that takes us to the downside. It still wouldn't be the worst, folks, because my daily chart would still be all right. So tells me that, I don't know, today may be a day you just want to watch price action and not go too crazy here and just look at the tightness, right? You don't have to trade every single day. You don't have to force trades. You don't have to always be in a trade. This morning, I already made $900, right? Remember, I already took off my trades this morning. I made $900 in my sleep, and now I'm sitting. I don't have to think too much about it, right? I just got to kind of watch the charts and make sure I make the next decision. Then I used the 300 to open up a short. Then I took out a long. And right now the long is down $57. The short is down $46, and the oil trade's up $30. So it's like, what, I'm down $50 right now on a $900 day. So, and I'm still kind of sitting with kind of my decision. I haven't really figured out exactly, the charts haven't spoke to me yet. They haven't given me the exact moment that I'm looking for. Yeah. Exactly. The strong wicks to the downside on the 15-minute tell me that we're more likely going to go up. That's what I'm looking for. If Iran talks go south, will Bitcoin dump? It could. There's a flag of the 5-minute time frame, somebody says. I mean, when you're above the 200, touching the 21, I expect price action to go up. You see, but I'm really looking for the daily. I'd like the daily to consolidate. I don't want to see the daily just go on a massive tear. And there we were today with the 15-minute on that 200 moving average. And you could see it was like a bit of a falling wedge. We broke it. And you could see how we might make a right shoulder here, folks. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. And that could give us some trouble. Again, if that happens, that would make sense. Then my daily chart would start to play out, right? So it would make sense. It would make a complete sense. I don't know. The longs are struggling here on that 1 minute time frame. Someone said they see a flag on the 5 minute. I see more of a shoulder ahead and a possible right shoulder there. I see what you're saying. You want to see this turn into a flag possibly, right? Maybe you meant the 1 minute. Let's take a look because the 5 definitely doesn't have a flag just yet. Yeah, and now we're watching the 1 minute time frame, which to me, look, shoulder, head, shoulder, right? Remember, I don't know what's going to happen. I set traps, and when price fills in the trap, I take the price. That's it. I'm a very simple guy, man. Someone tried to say I was one of the smartest people, that I have a really high IQ, and that's why I ended up as rich as I am or doing what I am. It's just not true. It's just not true. Like, I'm just relentless. When I'm feeling bad, I still go to work. When I'm feeling good, I still go to work. I love this saying. Went to work all week wrong. Busted my butt. No results. Went to week all week long. Busted my butt. No results. Went to work. Busted my butt all week. Medium results, or nothing, barely, or negative results. Things went worse. Went to work every single day. Busted my butt. Had good results. What I realize is you don't have a choice. If you run a business and have a company, you're competing with the other people that run a business and have a company. They're going for market share just like you are. You're all going to create, going after the market share that industry provides. That's it. The people that work the hardest will gain the most market share. I've learned that. The people that take time off, that think it's cool, that think they can, they're going to lose market share to people like me that don't stop working. That's just the facts. And people get pissed about it. People get upset. People hate me over it. Why can't you take a day off? They beg me to take my foot off the gas so that their level of efficiency will look okay. But they dang well know that because I don't stop, that I push down their level of efficiency. It's period. So you're gonna, and again, if you do things like I do in any industry, people will be wary of you in the industry. Not everyone wants to go shake my hand. All the people that run, I know a lot of people we connect, but not everyone wants to shake my hand. They're like, oh, there's the guy that never takes a day off. Ugh. There's the guy that makes my work ethic look like it's subpar. You see what I'm saying? And again, it's not about me. I'm just taking the work ethic from a billionaire, multimillionaire guy who loved what he did and never took a day off, right? So, and I want to inspire you that if you desire it bad enough, you can get it. You can get it. If you desire a life where you go to a country club a few times a week, where you golf, where you could take time off in the middle of the afternoon, if you desire that lifestyle, then meditate on it. Ask God how he can help you create that and work at it so hard that you achieve it. You can achieve anything you want if you work at it so hard that there's no way you can be stopped, folks. People really live by mental restraints. There's no mental restraint. You can, you will, you are the best. You've got this, right? We the vote, Chief Scammy. Don't click the like. It could be fine. I mentioned it on the web. It seems to only keep mentioning it on. I don't know what you're saying, man. I call them the Must Be Nice group. Amen. Yeah. So remember, man, raise your level of standards to the highest level possible. Jim Rohn taught me this. I didn't know this stuff, guys. I had to learn this stuff. I lived a lower level of life. I didn't raise my standards, and my life was hurt because of it. I lived in a one-bedroom for 10 years. Why wouldn't I have moved out after 2 to 3 years? I mean, I started buying and staying on the sidelines. You see what I'm saying? But, yeah. Yeah. I did not cut off the short. You guys, I'm live, man. I'm still in a short and a long at the same time. Looking to cut one off if I could see some confirmation. The oil looks strong on an inverted head and shoulder on the 4-hour time frame. Says we're going to have bad talks and oil's going to spike back to 96. That's what the charts convey. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Sure. Let's see. Yes, I mean, that's a head and shoulder to me. It's struggling. Like, you could say it's a little bit of a bull flag. I think there's too much indecision right now on what's happening. You know, people aren't getting any news of what's happening with Iran. We're kind of in the dark today, and you can see it's pressing on the market. Again, this is that same. That's a symmetrical triangle. These mainly break to the downside whenever you get a chubby triangle, right? The measured move is the base here of this to here or back down here. So you're either breaking down or you're breaking up. It's a 50-50 shot, right? You have less of an edge when you're in these, you know. Come on, Sam. One single leg squat, please. Turn the stream off. You're working too hard. That's about the dub. Try this short out. I keep crying, knowing my break is around the 100%, man. It's so close. You're so close to your break, man. You're so close to something happening, man. Anything could occur. You see what I'm saying? Anything. Yeah. Remember, man, I've called the bottoms at 15K. I showed you at 126 that we had a bearish divergence. I stopped buying long-term Bitcoin way below that. The fear was too high. I told you it's not. I was depressed, remember? I was like, I'm sad. Everyone was like, why? Because I can't buy Bitcoin anymore. I was like, it's too high. Once it went to 110, that was the last few buys. Yeah, I bought a little bit here or there, but I knew I couldn't buy anymore, right? Yeah, they're going to push it out. 50-50, this is going to be a nothing burger. That's about to dump, somebody says. It looks like it's going to dump. Yeah. I haven't cut off the long yet, but I got a long on oil and a short on Bitcoin, and it looks like they could really, they could pay me good if it goes down, right? 1 minute time frame, 15-minute time frame best. Dude, I'm going to stream 24 hours, man. Let's go all day, man. Let's just go till 5 o'clock. Let's make this the epic stream. And look, symmetrical triangles break down 68% of the time. More than they break up. So like when you make a chubby triangle, know that it's likely going to dump on you. And if it dumps, don't be surprised. Look, I showed you the head and shoulder on the 1 minute time frame. Like what? You're surprised? Shoulder, head, right shoulder. Like what? Like the market tells you what it's doing, folks. Inverted head and shoulder on oil. My short's now green. And my oil trade is up. Not huge, combined about $60. And then I'm down 120 and the other 130, so $70. We could stream as long as the wife lets us get away with it. Exactly. She'll come in the room eventually and kibosh this, but she'll say, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What's going on? Why have you been live for so long?" Yada yada yada. And I say, "This is what I love to do. Don't you understand? I'm the crypto lifer." And we probably go over this all the time. It's a constant battle. It's a constant battle, right? And just exerting dominance, man. Right? Exerting dominance over the market shares. Right? That's the key. That's the key. Outstreaming, outperforming, outgrinding, out teaching. Every time I'm live, I get to teach. I'm addicted to teaching. And that's really what I'm about. I like to teach more than trade, to be honest. I wish it wasn't the case, but I'm far more addicted to teaching people than to trading. I fell in love with showing people the sauce. I could sit here alone and trade all day. I wouldn't get as high as when I teach people the sauce, man, and they see what I'm showing them. I don't know, man. It's still like, it's still a hit or miss right now. I got to look at another chart for a sec. It's crazy how focused and disciplined you have to be if you want to know what's about to happen. That's the trade I took last night. I sold it already right around here. I got in there. I sold already. It played out beautifully. It was sketchy, but I took it anyway. So another thing I'm seeing is that we're in this rising wedge. Rising wedges do break down 68% of the time. And they break down to where they began. So this is telling us that we could dump, but that's why you got to play your support and resistance. So as long as Bitcoin can stay above the previous resistance, which I really bring it right to there, right? But as long as you can stay above 72.8, you got to start thinking that there's a chance here that you could break out, right? So I'm just looking for this. I'm looking for this sideways price action that could turn us into a pumpage. I'm looking for the 21 to come kiss price and hang out with it. That's my strategy. If that gets tight, then I know there's a 90% chance we're going to break out. I can tell with high probability when things are going to happen. All right. Yeah, exactly. I also don't have a lot, like, if I don't feel something big, I'm not going to go heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be completely transparent with you right here. Look, the long is down 138. The oil and the short are up like 60, right? So it's like, and I already made $900. So I'm up 840 today on the day. And I'm just kind of sitting, and I know, my strategy tells me when to do nothing. Your strategy should be able to identify when your probabilities aren't that high and when you should just do absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? If your strategy tells you to short and long or take a trade every single day and it never tells you to stop, then I don't know if you have a strategy because you're pushing yourself to do something every day. You're really not following. If you have rules. So check this out. You're a trader. You're a human being. You walk into the world of trading. You've never been there before. Years come by and eventually you have parameters and rules and an edge that you like. And when the market has those specific edges, check, you take the trades. But there's times where you go through everything and you don't get the check, right? Therefore, you don't take a trade. So if you're always trading, it means you really don't have an edge because your edge should tell you when to trade hard. Or you could. Now, I kind of trade a lot because I know people are watching me and going to learn. So I'll just make the trade smaller. So people can still feel the motions. They can still get entertained. They can still watch whether I win or lose. but dang well know that I'm not going to be betting the farm unless I see something high probable. All right? And I don't care if I have to wait 2-3 months for the bigger trade. That's all that matters. The best traders trade less, but they know when to trade. Okay? The only thing I do like about this idea is you got your 21, but see how it started to curve a little bit? And even this is a symmetrical triangle, like right here on the 4-hour, which we pointed out already. So I'm seeing, I do see some mixed signals here. You know, and again, I understand that the 50-minute held to 200 so far, and we've been in just chop. But right now, I mean, you got to look at the 1 minute. It did make a head and shoulder pattern. Like when I look at it right now, look, shoulder, head, right shoulder. That looks like it's going to go further to the downside. So, oh, I did not buy those yet. I was thinking of buying them. I did not buy them yet. I wish I didn't flash that. I don't want to be rude. And I probably may never buy those. I'm just, you know, I want to make that clear. I was just looking at the Daytona. Just looking at it. Just lightly looking at it. That was all. Nothing crazy. Honestly, I said last night even, I said, be careful, man. I see there's a possible head and shoulder forming on the 4-hour time frame, and that takes us back to the 200 moving average, somewhere at 70,800. And let's get back, and that 15,200 is really like, it's that's like right there. You know, if we lose it again, I just, you know, kind of rounding here. It's kind of shoulder, head, and shouldery. And so you could do nothing, wait for if this gets tight, then you have a better chance, right? You kind of beat off the Bears there, or doesn't sound right. Shake off the Bears. Oh my gosh, you know. But yeah, you know what I mean? Beat them with a stick. And you shouldn't feel like you have to be in a trade all the time. You could work on support or resistance. You could watch a video about divergences. You could find out if you could find divergences, right? And then you can also say, well, isn't this kind of a falling wedge? And you'd say, yeah, I mean, that's why it faked a breakout like twice though, right? And again, even if we get a bump today, I don't think the range is strong. Like you think you're gonna go all the way up to here? I don't think so. That you're gonna have to take profits there, and your stop loss has to be there. So there's gonna be not a lot of 3-to-1. Like you're not gonna get the movement. Oh, there we go. Now we're starting to get the dumpage. Oil's looking strong. So now look, the oil trade now up $100. Like, and dude, I added the oil trade as a secondary hedge because I saw this inverted head and shoulder on oil. It told me that I should take that hedge. I'm considering cutting off the short completely right now. It's weird. Okay, that's right. I was like, the number was, I was like, doesn't make sense. So right now I'm only down $40 if I cut off the long. We could still bounce, man. This is crazy. But that to me is so strong of a move on oil that I think I got to respect it. We could still bounce off if we lose the 15-minute 200 moving average, then that's not going to be the best. I mean, that's going to be good for me, but you know, that's going to be the short's going to really play out better. Really, the best trade is the oil trade. It's the one that makes the most sense to me right now. And has a more defined pathway of movement and a simple way to, you know, sell at the 200 moving average. You know, it has a clear defined path, more consistent. Bitcoin's more choppy right now for whatever reason. That's why I DCA into Bitcoin on days like today. And you can always find a trade on another asset. You know, I don't normally, you know, I'll look for whatever I can find, right? And I don't trade altcoins with leverage. I don't think it's a great idea. I think it's a greedy idea. I can always just get more aggressive on a Bitcoin trade. So I shy away from that behavior. I don't think it's sustainable over time. You could definitely, on a really good bull market, when there's a lot of retail, you could take advantage. But if you're always going after, unless you're perfecting it and you do it for demo trading for a few years and then you switched over and you're really good at it, I highly push back on people to leverage trade altcoins. Even Solana at $88, if it moves 50 cents and you're above a 3x leverage, you will find out how fast it's going to flip on you And I don't know if you want to get into that. I don't know if you want to do that, right? So just one thing you got to kind of really be clear about there, if you're going to be doing that, is pay attention. All right. I've been building up a large 2x long on Doge. Any chance you could look at the chart? Much love. Exactly what I just said not to be doing, but you're doing it anyway. Hey, do whatever makes you happy. I'll take a look at it. We could de-risk maybe. It's also breaking now. The move is good. Or do worst case, we can re-add lower. If that's what you like to do. I like to be right or wrong. I don't know why. It's just how I've traded. I lost a lot of money demo. You're funny. Dump to severity. Yeah. I'm staying long. Daytona does have... Look, ain't gonna lie. It does, man. I lost a lot of money demo trading. Yeah, but look, I didn't even wear my watch. It's like, whatever, man. You can't get controlled by metal, right? Or, I don't know. I only buy those things if you want, you can wear them. They look nice, and you can resell them in 10 years. Just a place to park fiat currency, man. Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking for someone to partner with me, man, on a real estate deal. I found a pretty good deal. It's about 5.4 mil. I think I can talk them down to 4.9. All right. I would like to borrow. I'm going to put 25%. So a mil down, borrow 4 mil. It'd be easier to borrow 2 mil and you borrow 2 mil. We both put down like 700 grand. And therefore the risk is less on each of us. Right. And it cash flows 600 grand a year after paying everything. It's on. So we can put 700 grand down and both still cash flow 150 grand a year, basically, after everything, which is pretty crazy. Right. And in 6 years, you'll make your money back. I think it's pretty awesome. So if anyone wants to get down with me or thinks about it or has 700 grand lying around that they'd like to invest with the lifer, let me know, man. You know what I mean? Let me know. I don't know if I could even I don't know, Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say and do. Just basically we would do it together, Oil pump it, Bitcoin dump it, baby. Yeah, I mean, oil looks like it's going to head up to that 200, man. We could get a bounce off the 200 again, but I feel like we've lost the trend line now for Bitcoin. 5-minute looks extra bearish on a head and shoulder, dumping with the rejection of the 200. The 15-minute 200 moving average is the last resort here. I'm going to cut off the long, folks. I'm going to cut off the long for now. I'll get back into it at another time. I'm going to show you that I did it. No more long. I just cut it off for $200. And then I'm going to let these run, right? And now I'm basically at break even because I'm up 180. And now if I'm right and this continues to go, and remember, I'm already still up 840 on the day. Remember that. Remember, I already made 900 bucks. I already made 900 bucks today. And it's just the beginning of the day. It could be a 5,000 a day for me, 3,000 a day. I don't know. You got to stay inside the trading group to find out exactly how much I make today if you want to know. And again, you know what I learned, man? Nobody cares how much I make. They care how much I can make them or how much knowledge I can give them to help them make money. Nobody cares. I could be in $1 million trade right now. I could be up 30, 50 grand. What would it matter to you? Oh, so Sam made another 50,000. So to me, my number and my trades really won't do anything for you. My strategies, my relentlessness, my discipline, and my mindset is really going to help you out way more than anything else you get from me on this channel, right? So I'd love to show you big wins and flaunt my money and stuff, but that's, to me, sometimes I hit a pretty big win and I don't tell anybody, to be honest, I might be up huge on spot Bitcoin. No one needs to know how much I'm up. No one needs to know how much Bitcoin I hold. No one needs to know my net worth, man. You know what I mean? That's for me and my wife to know. I think, does she know? I'm just... That's for me to know, me and God to know. No. Seriously, but... knowledge from the life are priceless, man. Our investment should be for the other side. Yeah, red candle printing. Be happy for you. What about the 2-hour trend line? Can you check that out? I don't know, man. I'm just going to let things do their thing for here. Oil has kind of spoken for Bitcoin. You see what I mean? That's a beautiful inverted head and shoulder. That's supposed to break up 78%, 68% of the time. Target would take you further all the way to the upside there. Right, and this is on, And guys, you could trade on BTCC. If you do that, you can win a Rollie. So that's pretty awesome. Jump on in. Also, if you want to get funding and you're looking for funding, BitFunded. All right. I linked up with BitFunded. Hard when I have so much going on in my life, but I linked up with BitFunded, and they're awesome. It's a great place to start, a great place to get in. I even give some bit for the other day. I'm 3 for 3 on my BitFunded trades. I haven't lost one yet. And I even give you guys the BitFunded stuff. The other day I made a video just for BitFunded people. I said this would be a good trade for BitFunded. And then I said this would be a perfect sell because I want to help you pass evals and get it done. But if you like BitFunded, hit the link in my description and jump on in. He goes, I'm staying long like a clown. Interested. You're not a clown, man. Don't talk to yourself like that. Anything could go the other way. We don't know. I could cut these off right now and just square myself away again. But that's a head and shoulder pattern, right? It's starting to bleed down. And you got the tweezer top, which is a confirmed, lower high, which means you would make a lower low in the trend, right? So it tells me that you're going to come through and break this low. Yeah. Few bulls still left, though I need a full day of dumping to confirm bear, and boy, oh boy. Bitcoin dump target. Believe me, if we go lower, I'm going to be able to see it. We're going to make it through no matter what, man. Right? And there you go, man. It looks like you could see the 5-minute is in a head and shoulder. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. I pointed it out. Rejection by the 200. Can already see where you're likely going to go. Take the algorithm wick to wick here and flip this to the downside to the neckline. And that says you're going lower to 74,472. So, and look, now I'm in the money here. Wiped out the loss of the long and continued up. Iran ceasefire talks have been paused. There you go, right? Right off the bat. Yeah, they're not headed now. JD Vance isn't headed to Pakistan. We just went from 75.5 to 75.384. And again, I'm not big. Look, these positions are not huge. I'm not trying to change my life overnight. I'm just making $1 to $2 grand a day. Like at the end of the day, that could be 10 grand a month. That's $40,000 a month. 10 grand a week, $40,000 a month. That's $480,000 a year. That's in the highest tax bracket in America. And that's just one of my side pieces of income. So like, I don't try to become this multimillionaire. I don't try to make hundreds of thousands of dollars leverage trading. I just want to make it another part of my income. You see what I'm saying? Real estate, leverage trading, spot Bitcoin, right? Education, Discord, YouTube, sponsorships, partnerships. I want to make as many streams of income as I can. There's, what's wrong with that? Okay. Look, they're both at 117. What are the odds of that? That's crazy. That's so funny because they're different mounts at different prices at different times. That's fascinating to see them line up like that. I love numbers, man. I'm fascinated by the coincidence of numbers. Right? Can you check total 3? It's making a cat here on the daily. I'm part of the world circus. Iran ceasefire talks have been paused, somebody says. And if you want to trade where I trade, you can hit the links here in the description. All right. And we have them right here. Just MEXC, BTCC, and or weeks. I like weeks in BTCC for the best. If you're an American, you'll have no issues. It'll be nice and seamless, if you know what I'm saying, right? Wow, and there's the dump to the downside, folks. I smartly cut off the long at the perfect time. Absolutely nailed it as I was watching this confirmation shift on the 5-minute time frame, right? And I'm just saying, oil looks the best right now. Like, the oil helped me see Bitcoin clearer, you see? Because, like, that was a defined inverted head and shoulder on oil. Clear as day, right? It's weird. They already, like, look, I called that bear flag already, too. I nailed that bear flag. Yesterday, remember I said oil looks like it's going to drop. It did. And I don't trade oil all the time. I trade whatever the markets tell me to trade. You see, if I see, and now we're starting to move. Now we're up $300 in both trades. We can continue this motion. I want to get up to here and take profits, man. That's the plan. And look at the dumpage in a head and shoulder on the 5-minute time frame. Why would you stay inside a long? Doesn't make any sense. Either you don't understand TA, you have problems with control, self-control, right? Like, hey, someone might stay along and still win it. So I don't want to, you never know what someone's doing. Exactly. Charge flipping, this is disgusting to watch. What do you mean? This is perfect to watch. This is paying the trader. This is how you get paid, folks. We're just doing it correct. And thank you, dear Lord. Help me stay profitable. Help me stay disciplined. Help me keep my mind right. Help me stay away from people on drugs and alcohol and bad influences, and help me stay with my wife and kids at all times. Help me become a pure man of honorability to my family. And dear Lord, thank you for all the power and all the vibrational energy you have instilled upon me to continue to go every single day. I've been streaming for 3 hours. I am not tired. I could go 3 more without even a sip of water, without a break. I don't need a thing, right? I left it under the 200 MA and I got stopped. Hey, you did what I usually do, so God bless you, man. I understand. It's all right, but this thing looks like it is dumping to the downside. And we had kind of a bullish chair meeting, right? It didn't matter, right? Praying the same prayer, Sammy. God bless you, man. Let's all pray together, man, one last time while I'm here. Dear Lord, and anyone who wants to jump on in, fold your hands and emit the vibrational energy right now with me. Dear Lord, help us stay vibrationally high at all times. Help us remain grateful for everything, every breath of fresh air, every time we have vision through our eyes, noise through our ears, and taste through our tongues. May we always be grateful for the senses you gave us to enjoy this world. I was in the jacuzzi the other night thirsty, and I just put a touch of water on my tongue, and the feeling of quenching thirst was just like so amazing. I said, dear Lord, thank you. Thank you for the ability to hug my wife. Thank you for the ability to, even making love to my wife. What an amazing feeling that you've given us to mesh bodies together. And I know there's people here, but you've given us such an amazing life through this body. And sometimes it's painful. My leg went through a lot of pain recently. I struggled, but God, you were there for me. You were there for me. Thank you for always being there for me, dear Lord, no matter what. Always picking up the pieces, always pushing me to become a better person and help you continue to help me in every facet of my life. Amen. I'm so very, very grateful. My father, man, my one true father, man, he never left me. Even when my dad died, man, I still have a father who's there for me at all times. At all times. And you wonder why I can stream every single day for 1,800 days. You wonder why I can have conviction when most people lose it. You wonder why I can be strong when most people seem weak, because God has created a belief system in me that can't be broken. When my mother died in my face that day and talking to me, when I lost my best friend, my dad and my mom in the same year, I did not curse God's name. I did not get upset. I didn't say, why did you do this to me? Like I used to in the past. I said, thank you, dear Lord, for teaching me compassion, for making me more understanding, and for really bringing me to a place in life where I never thought I would be, So it's we could wick back above the 200 here on the 15, and we could still get busy. Today's a really tough day. I have to be honest, right? So, amen. I love this stream, and God bless everyone, man. Even if you don't believe in God, I don't judge you. This isn't a cult. You don't have, I don't force you to, I don't force you to do nothing. I just want to know that you live in love, that you can love yourself, because if you can't love yourself, you cannot love anybody. And I want you to believe in yourself and keep pushing every single day. That's what matters to me the most. Okay. And help others, man. If you learn something, give it away. If you know something, help someone. If you're a welder and you see a struggling apprentice, take him by the side for an hour and give him some skills, man. Teach him something for free. Help him. He'll remember you one day. He might get a job and bring you in on it. It might be the best paying job you ever had. And you're like, man, that's the kid I helped back in the day. If you got something, give it away, folks. I give away my strategies, my tips, my tricks, my discipline every single day. I give it away. I used to be afraid. There's a time where I used to hold back on the stream and not give a lot of my strategies away because I thought people would steal them, resell them, and what would I have? And that was when I lived in lack and in fear. And I decided I'm never going to live like that again. I don't know when I'm going to go, and I know I can teach today. So, right? Exactly. If it's for the stream purposes only. I don't know what he's saying there. Yeah. The one who ain't going to last. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Jesus is my Lord and Savior, man. Amen, brother. Amen. And Jesus, prayed to God. He showed you how to pray to God when Jesus was in trouble, when Jesus struggled. Who did he turn to? He turned to the Father, man. When I struggle, when I have problems, I turn to my Father, as Jesus has taught me in so many ways, because I listen to Jesus and I study Jesus, and Jesus has got me to a great place in my life. Amen. So you have closed your long, then, Sam? I did. I already showed it to everybody that I closed it. It's not on anymore. I was on weeks, and you don't see the long anymore. Like, there it is, down $218. I closed the long, right? So I already made that clear. It's weird when I'm like super clear, and then someone's like, so, like, are you going to be clear about that? Are you going to really show me? And it's like, I already did that. Like, I've been clearer than you thought I was. We just got a new welder in this shop, young guy. You could tell he's willing to learn. I love teaching people like that. Yeah, it's fun, right? That's really fun, man, when you teach people your sauce, bro. It's like, and then you're going to help that man for the rest of his life. Put food on his plate, I mean, that's pretty epic. Do we get a bounce? Does everything kind of come back into clarity here? Do I have to remove my trades and just kind of call it a day? I don't know. Right now, I'd be at break even completely. And some days it could be a nothing burger, man. You know what I'm saying? That's really too far for the 21-day moving average on the 1 hour time frame. That's going to have to come back. So it's almost like that will have to consolidate now back to the 21, touch the 21 before it can continue. If it goes back below the 21, then And there we are now, just kind of sitting at about break even. Remember, I already made $900 today. Even if I lose both of these, and I could cover right now and call it a day. It's looking awkward. I felt like I should have made or lost money by now. Like, it's kind of like, what are we waiting on here? But we lost 75.5, which to me is psychological. It's a big deal. We get back above it. Maybe I cut off the trade. At the most, I'll lose 200. You see? So. Or even 400, I'd still be up $500 if I lose these two. Or they flip back all the way back, which who knows? I'll keep you posted in the trading group exactly what I do. But today's kind of like Look, I mean, we sat here all day. We've been watching the market for 3 hours, and I've been in the trading group since 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. So I've given the market 5 hours of my day today. It didn't pay me like it paid me the other days. Right? It hasn't been as aggressive, but let's wait. There's a chance I might win big later on today. So, with that being said, I'm going to jump on out of here for the day. I think it was an amazing live stream. I don't know how I just went 3 hours and 30 minutes long, but we did. It was one of the longest live streams of my life. All right, once you get too big and give too much sauce, they find a way to switch it up. Bear coming back in real time. I'm 40 years old, been welding for 23, and I stay open-minded to learn new things in my profession, 100%. Noobs don't want me to teach them, only last a couple weeks. Hardwood isn't for the meek. Yeah, they don't want to, they don't, their knees hurt, they can't handle it, they can't shellac. They don't know how to shellac, you know what I mean? I've learned wherever there is uncertainty in the market, it likes to pump when no one expects it. Interesting. Like oil? Short's paying right now. We're doing good, up almost 300. Thank you for the long stream, man. It was awesome. I had a really good time. I had no idea it was going to be this long. I didn't plan it out. I didn't even know I was going to do this today, so. Man, homie, you still alive? Yeah, I just went all day, bro. J-Change. I just didn't stop, man. Just felt like exerting my dominance as a streamer. This is the dude right here, you know what I mean? Yeah. Have a blessed day, brother. Thank you for showing up every day. We love you, bro. I love you too, man. It's all about giving. Thank you for everything, Sam. You're the best, and may God bless you and your family. Thank you, brother. You too as well. Shout out to J Change in the house. Shout out to all my people here. Shout out to Boondock Saint. Shout out to Sean Plays holding me down. Dutang, Dumpster Diving, man. My man, I love you, brother. Always been behind me, man. Tip for the extra time. Hope you won't be offended. You're funny, man. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hey, Sammy, had the stream running. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for all you do. The German streamers go for like 9 hours a day, regardless of the gains. It's for the experience of the community. I love it. You got a peons. Yeah, you're funny, man. Anyway, to be the hardest worker in this space is no joke. We'll always ride with you, man. Amen. Thank you. I love you. I love you, man. And I love it when I go to events like Bitcoin Vegas, which I'd love to see you at. We're going to have a party at the Mike Tyson Mansion. You're going to see me receive belts, help people get belts. I'm going to sponsor the event too as well. You're going to see my logo everywhere. It's going to be a blast. So... well, may God bless you all. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm going to jump on out for the day. In the green. In the green as I leave. We'll see what happens. That's a pump and a half, though. That was a nice move. 86 up to 9. I mean, that was a big move. My enter is at 89, though. Only $2, and you can make $200. You know? That's my key to jump. It's a good ending song, actually. I gotta fix. Let me just fix this now before it's. There we go. Just a little and ooh. There we go. All right. Just, you know, it makes sense, right? Anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much for kicking it with me. The card Smith currency game is going to be there. It's a card collecting collection you could win Bitcoin out of. That's cool, man. I like it. What day is the party? I'll find out. The Mike Tyson party. It's the influencer events. Let me see. Gypsy Gold's got it. If we go to Gypsy Gold here. Follow Gypsy Gold. Should be Gypsy Gold, right? Where's my man? I'll tell you what, man. Sometimes, like, Twitter finds the person and sometimes it doesn't if you spell the name right. But I would. It's Gypsy Gold, man. Anyway, I'll get his Twitter, but Adam Charles, man. I know, I'm pretty sure I follow the guy. I don't know why I can't find him. Anyway, funny. It's funny, Tristan Tate follows me. And he only follows 1,800 people. He follows the lifer, man. So crazy. I know no one believes me. I feel like nobody believes me when I tell them that, but it's true. I have to show it on screen. Whatever, I'm my own man. I don't like, it doesn't matter to me. It's not like, oh my, but it's interesting to me. He's internationally known around the world. He got 3 million followers, but he follows me, the 1,800 people that he only subscribes to 3 things, and you know. But we dress similar. I'm always dapper. He's always dapper, man. Like him and his brother dress slightly different. If you notice, I dress more like him. His brother likes to be more modern, and you know, whatever. Who cares? It is what it is. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you for an absolutely lovely afternoon as we head into 1:33. I can't believe it. May God bless you all. Thank you so much for jumping on in with the lifer. Thank you for kicking it with me. And yeah, oil looks like it's going to pull back a little bit. That was a pretty big pump for it. It's away from the 21-day moving average. So, I don't know. You know what I mean? And I was in pretty tight, so I don't know. It may not be the biggest move. The 4-hour looks good, though. It's got to take its time. It's got to take its time. Do we need tickets to Bitcoin Vegas to attend the party? Yes, you do. To the Bitcoin, no, honestly, to the Mike Tyson party, no, I don't think so. You could just show up and I'll put you on a list. I'll come out and get you in if you say you're with the lifer. I'll have like some good control over there. I'm help promoting the event, so I'll be able to get you in. I'll find out all the information about the Mike Tyson mansion party. It's going to be at Mike Tyson's mansion in the Vegas, man. Don't you? That's an experience, bro. You all got to go. But if you want, get the pass. In 3 days, the tickets will go up to Bitcoin Las Vegas. It's in 6 days. I can't believe I'm going to be flying to Vegas. 5 days, Sunday, man. I'm already there. This weekend I'm gone. I get so nervous when I travel. I got to bring so many things. I got to be ready. I got to have so much stuff in place. I got to start packing like today. You know what I mean? I get this like travel anxiety because I got so many things. Everything has to be on point. I can't be playing games. You know what I mean? It's got to be right. It's got to be right. Hey, I feel honored that the lifer follows me. Hey, man, you're awesome. You're one of the coolest people. Bitcoin sign. It was right here earlier today. I guess it's missing now. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys all tomorrow and in the trading group throughout the day. God bless. Thank you. Tough day to trade. It is what it is. Some days it ain't perfect. Some days it rips. We'll catch it. We just got to stay on point and not lose our money for no reason. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. The secret to success is getting started. You're not going to be great to start, but you got to start to be great.